Welcome back to episode 16 of Midnight Movie Reviews. So this week we have ventured into the genre of the disturbing, not jump scary horror movies, and we have a special guest. His name is Sai. He recommended we watch this movie, and I know we have some audience here who might have not enjoyed it that much. So Sai, tell me about yourself. Tell me like what movies you like. What do you enjoy most about film? Give it all to me.
All right, what's going on? Yeah, I enjoy a lot about film. I think it's very interesting what directors can do in general with movies and plots and put it together.
Yeah.
My favorite genres, I would say, of movies would probably be 80s movies, which includes horror and comedy, as well as just normal horror more recently, and then like disturbing movies and sci-fi for sure.
Yeah. So for that 80s like horror movie, are you talking more about like the cheesy horror movies or like the ones that are like really like get you on edge, or it's all of the above for you?
It's kind of all of the above, but I would say the cheesy ones are probably my favorite, like Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
Halloween, all of that stuff. I think those are great original films.
It's good. That's good. All right. So we watched Midsommar, crazy ass movie, very disturbing. So I'm just gonna read us our summary real quick, and Adam's gonna get into the questions as we always do. So, several friends travel to Sweden to observe a summer festival that is held every 90 years in the remote hometown of one of the friends. So what begins as a dream vacation in a place where the sun never sets gradually turns into a dark nightmare as the mysterious inhabitants invite them to participate in their disturbing festival activities. Take that as you will. Adam, start us off.
All right. So to begin, everyone share a general opinion. I'll go first. So when watching this movie, I did not enjoy it, but after watching this movie, I started to enjoy it, which is like where I'm at now. This movie appears to like be just like really pointlessly weird, but like there is a point to it. But when saying that, like I had to like watch YouTube videos to like understand that point. And I think that you should be able to understand a movie without having to watch like videos of people talking about it. So I think it was like they just conveyed it horribly.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean. Like, I didn't really want to get any outside opinion before we talked about this.
Right.
So I'm kind of in the dark on that YouTube situation, as you were talking about. But like, I get it. These like A24, so that's the production company. Those horror movies. Some of the ones that are really good are like very confusing.
Have you seen a Ghost Story?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one.
One of their more prominent ones was Hereditary, which was
Hereditary.
Oh yeah,
that too. Was really good, of course.
Yeah, and then like these, I mean, I think it's good because then that shows that like the writing team and the they were trying to tell a very complex or story, but then you bring up the thing that it's like, oh well, some people aren't gonna want to go and watch the YouTube theories and people talking about it.
Yeah, it's just too complex for the general audience.
But then again, but then you just have the opposite spectrums of the argument where no, it should be like that, no, it shouldn't. So.
What's really weird about these movies is A24 kind of came out of nowhere for me, at least. Like I didn't know about them until Hereditary came out, and that was like one of the first horror movies that kind of spooked me a little bit because it was actually really good and it was a really dark movie and had a lot of symbolism behind it.
Same with this one. I mean, like I like this movie. I understand it's very gruesome, but I mean, like I liked it for what it was because I think it did a good job at intertwining a failing love story to this crazy cult vibe. I don't know. It's just two polar opposite things that they mix together really well.
I think. Go ahead.
I think this movie, it had some things going for it, like cinematography. It had a pretty great cinematography, I would say.
That's true. They had a lot of very interesting camera motions, but we will talk about that later.
Definitely. But that was one thing I was able to enjoy. But other than that, I really thought the storyline was really weak, honestly.
How so?
And the first half hour, seemed incredibly disjointed from the rest of the movie. And also pacing, it was incredibly slow. I was kind of just bored the whole time watching this movie.
Yeah, there are some parts that, like, I agree with you, Luke. There are some parts where I was just, like, skipping, because it's, like, there's, like, scenes that just go on for, like, 3 minutes, and it's just, like, a very slow-moving shot. Like, I get that.
Yeah, I definitely...
Yeah, this movie...
I was gonna say, I definitely think that
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the reason that the movie kind of felt like separated in a sense is because the first half of the movie, or at least the first quarter of it, was dedicated to like character development, like understanding the character story and how it was gonna, or like how it was gonna conflict with the, the plot later.
But then the problem with that is like the problem with that is like that character development is so disjointed from the rest of the style of the story.
That's what I'm trying to say.
It's just like she literally like walks into the like bathroom, start crying, and you're just on the plane. Like, I get that's a cool transition, but it's like, what happened between?
I'd have to, I 100% agree with that, because I think there are a few spots that were kind of added pointlessly, but I do think it's just to kind of show how broken she was over her parents and her sister's death.
Yeah.
Because it was
that's
kind of
no
like...
reason to make the movie broken. That is
oh my
no
god,
to make
all
a
she
shit
did,
plot.
all she did the entire movie was cry and complain.
No, definitely.
That's true.
Like, that's her only character trait. Am I missing something?
And competitive dancing till,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, that wasn't set up anyway. That was just like
I couldn't connect and relate to any of the characters. Like
all the characters in this movie were like so hateable.
Yeah.
Like except
honestly.
except like the one guy
Maya,
who like just like died out of nowhere. Like he was fine.
The British boyfriend.
No, the black guy.
Josh.
Oh yeah, he was.
No,
cool,
I like Mark because I like the actor. I love him. Real good guy.
Yeah.
The guy who pissed on a tree.
Yeah. Piss man. Whoever was saying something, please continue.
I forgot what I was gonna say, but
Rip.
yeah, but one of the things that I was gonna say was, I think this movie as a whole was very dark, but I think it makes up for the fact that this movie had a lot of symbolism behind it. Like, and adding on to what Adam had originally said, you kind of think of it like, okay, after you watch this movie, you can't really gather it all together unless you watched a crap ton of movies to the point where you're kind of like, okay, I understand this movie. You have to look it up on YouTube, which I don't mind doing. I think it adds a bit of mystery to the whole movie and finding out more as to what it meant and the symbolism behind specific things. Because obviously we're following a Swedish cult in this movie, right? So there's a lot of things that are tradition in this entire movie, such as, sacrifices and different stuff like that, like the dancing around the big wooden pole.
Yeah.
I forgot what that's
thing
called.
is this, when someone makes a movie, they want to make it so that they might want to make it a little bit complex, but they don't want to make it so that the audience is like, all right, what is going on? Like,
totally agree with you.
But keep in mind, Luke. But you're literally.
You don't want to give away the whole movie.
But no. That's not the thing. It's literally you took 4 friends from America and you put them into a Swedish land. Of course, they're gonna be confused too.
They're not gonna understand.
Yeah, I know. Of course,
that's why I'm in agreement with
that doesn't mean.
But it's Luke. You gotta take it from the perspective of the characters. They're just as confused as you are. That's the point.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if you kind of gather your senses towards the end of the movie, like, it's quite obvious it's a cult. Well, you kind of figure that out after the 2 elderly people jump off the cliff. You kind of figure that out. You're like, oh, okay. And honestly, from the beginning, obviously, you already are probably aware of the fact that it's going to be very suspect to have, just this random cult, or not a cult, but you know what I mean, like a group of people just out in the middle of nowhere in Sweden, like, you know what I mean? And obviously, as we know, you have, what's his name? Sorry, Pelle, I believe.
Pelle.
Yeah, Pelle. Basically lured them in. Like, he and his friend were basically there to lure them into the cult. Their entire goal was
Which friend, the brother or the Josh, the black guy?
The brother. Yeah. And I was also gonna say, basically their whole goal was to sacrifice, I believe, 9 people.
9 people, yeah.
9 people, yeah. And so they wanted 4 people to be a part of the actual cult, and then they wanted the other like 5 to actually be sacrificed, which you obviously see throughout the movie are sacrificed.
Because you have the two people, the two like village people. I'm gonna call them village people, and then you have the 2 old people who died. So those were the 4 from the what are they called, the Harga cult.
Something like that.
And then you have the 5. So you have Connie, Simone, Simon. You have Josh, Mark, and then you have Christian. So you have those 5, and then those are the 5.
Yeah, and I honestly, and this might seem a little bit weird, but I always look for the ways that people might die in movies just for the creativity purposes of it, because I think it's very interesting how directors and film producers will actually, I guess, represent those deaths in different ways. You know what I mean? So I think they did. I think a lot of the deaths were very, very, very creative and symbolic as well. Yeah, and and one thing that I didn't like about this movie though is it's the casual like horror disturbing movie where separate people will get pulled away from the situation. You know, and that I didn't like about it, because it's like you're kind of you're exactly, and you're a little bit stupid. If I had even if I'm writing a thesis on the entire group of people or cult as we now know, I would have left after the 2 people jumped off the bridge and they got their faces smashed in once they found out they were dead.
Because there wasn't some sort of like mysterious like WandaVision style force keeping them from escaping. They could have just taken the car and dipped. Like
exactly.
Like I would have done that at night.
I feel like that's how a lot of horror movies happen. Like it's like, oh, obviously if like these characters had any sense, they'd leave. But like I feel like a lot of horror movies just have this like, oh, we're just gonna stay for like some reason, and like it's just like
there's
part of like a horror movie genre.
No, there was because of it. It's like kind of their cult, and they had these like hallucinatory drugs. That's what was keeping them. And I don't think it's because they were addicted and wanted the drugs. It's just because they were pretty much drugged up for like, I'd say 75% of the time. And the other 25, they were just straight up being distracted, and they were like being like, no, stay. It's just culture. Like that was the whole point. Like they are like literally they can't escape. They're either gonna be killed if they try.
Yeah.
But
sorry, go ahead, Misha.
No, go ahead. Go.
I was gonna say, so the one death that I thought was a little bit stupid was the one where Josh goes in to
starts taking pictures. Like why? He literally said don't take pictures, and this guy knows. They literally just jump off, and like they know one of their friends has already died. So,
exactly.
And the thing about that entire situation is it's like you walk into a barn that I forgot the old guy's name. I don't even think he was given it. I'm not sure. Yeah, something like that. Yes, yeah. And he basically told him, don't go in the barn, right? And then he goes in, takes pictures for his thesis and his stupid stuff like that, right? And then the guy comes up behind him, or somebody smashes his head in with like a hammer once, and he has I believe he has the skin of Simone, I believe, on his face now.
I thought it was Mark, and it looked like Mark, because they dragged away Mark before him.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep. Yep. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I mean that death was very stupid because it's like it could have been easily avoided. Don't be an idiot. You honestly, I feel like you could have written a thesis way faster than you did. And the other thing, sorry to add on here, they're literally like drinking like poison and hallucinative drinks during the entire movie. You would think once you see 2 people jump off a cliff that you're not going to drink anything. You're not going to drink anything from these people. That's like common sense.
I mean, like, and when you're talking about the people in the culture, like, I get why they would be doing it, but like, as the outsider American perspective, you know, the guys who came, they should have like actually thought about what they're doing.
Yeah, if I were to ever be put in that scenario, I would never drink anything from them. No. If I were to ever be put, no way. Like, honestly,
their judgment's clouded though.
You gotta think like from their perspective, like, oh, I gotta try and like fit into the culture somehow.
But why would you try to conform to something that literally kills? I think the first time I think before they like actually saw anyone die, they did the drugs the first time around, and then maybe that somehow like mentally like they got dependent on it. But I don't think you can. Can you get dependent on those drugs like after one use? I don't think so.
Not to mention,
I don't know.
Not to mention the. Sorry, go ahead, Luke.
Just that what you guys have been talking about, that's really one thing I didn't like. Like the characters' actions in many situations didn't really make too much sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, sure. I feel like the characters in general were like the weakest points of this movie.
For sure,
Yeah.
yep. And that's what made the movie like more disturbing, I guess, because the characters kind of fell into the traps and the plots of the movie.
Yeah.
But one
Yeah.
other thing I was gonna add on to was you think about Danny in the beginning scene when they first kind of got there. The first hallucinogen that she took, like she literally was starting to hallucinate her parents and her sister's death again, and like freaked out about it. So
Exactly.
after even that, if I were to be her, having gone
I
through
would have
the
been
trauma
gone
of-
already. I would have been done with that. I'd just
Oh,
gone
100%.
straight.
I would
back.
have did. But you think about the trauma she went through with her parents and her sister, I would have left after I had that hallucination. No
Same.
doubt. If they're willing to give me a hallucinogen that messes me up that badly, I'm gonna leave because it's like,
Mhm.
why would they be willing to give me that in the first place? That's the
Yeah.
first like red alarm that goes off in the movie.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about what Luke was saying earlier. I think I agree with him like entirely, but like I don't think he really knew how to say it. So this movie has a point, but like it's just in a lot of cases with just like art in general, it's just so pretentious where like it's getting like more and more subtle to the point where it's like
It's
barely there at
subliminal and
all.
super subjective. You're kind
Right,
Mhm.
right. So like for an example, like an art teacher, like they just make like symbolism and like all these little things out of basically nothing, and to some point, like it's not even the artist's intention. And
it's like a
when you
weird
just
unspoken language.
right
Sort of.
when you get more and more subtle, the meaning just goes away. Which is why like movies
Exactly.
like Blade Runner that have all this symbolism and actually like really show it, well, they come off as really weird. And I'm not saying this movie didn't. It's just you can actually see the symbolism. And when it gets to the point where you have to like watch videos to understand the movie, and like
Mhm.
I mean I would say that I usually get this kind of stuff, but I just didn't at all here. But when
Oh,
it gets
same,
to
like,
that point, you can't really enjoy it.
Yeah, like I enjoy stuff like Blade Runner.
Right.
That was really a joy to watch, and Interstellar was too. And because it made you think, and I like I've said many times, I really like those movies, and I usually understand those pretty well. But this movie, it's just you don't really have enough clues to
Right. They
understand
don't give it to
anything.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah, unless you analyze like
Mhm.
every shot and like every single word spoken, like you're just not gonna get anything. A
Yeah.
movie should be experienced, and then you should be able to like say, "Hey, this is why this movie was made. This is what it's trying to tell me," and then like just talk about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just it gets to a point where it's just not there. It's
Okay,
really
At
not there. I
first
feel like
glance, honestly, this seems like a bit of a troll of a movie.
Right.
Like when you first watch it, it's like, why do you make this? But
But then you start realizing what's actually going on. Okay, so I think we've kind of given off that we have a little bit of a two-sided
yeah.
argument between some of us. So
I mean, I would say three-sided because I enjoyed this movie. Once I like read about it and all that, but I
Yeah.
don't think Luke enjoyed it at all.
yeah.
Well, what does
Yeah.
Nick have to say? I don't think he's talked at all.
Yeah, Nick.
yeah,
what are
Nick
your
hasn't
overall
said too
thoughts?
much stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just I kind of agree with a lot of like what people are saying. Like, the plot, they don't they let's just say they leave a lot to like your interpretation of the movie, like of how like I guess they don't really give you much to help understand it, but I feel like that could be like a way for you to watch it again or something, so then you can like
Yeah.
really like analyze it more, like you guys said, so you can like really understand like what exactly is going on. And I just feel like in movies like this, you have to like think that the director, it's not a bad movie, but it's like the direction like the director wanted
Yeah.
it to go.
You
Like,
have
it's
to have that.
purposeful. Yeah.
You have to have a
What?
perfect balance between subtlety and like actually having substance. Like
Yeah.
there just wasn't a lot here.
There was
like-
just nothing there.
There
I would-
wasn't
I would-
nothing.
There wasn't nothing.
But
Yeah.
it was just pushed into the background so much. They're like, oh, look, we're being so artistic by like not telling you anything, but really they're just like not telling you anything.
I was gonna say, I think
It's like it's. Oh, go ahead, Sai. Go ahead, Sai.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna say that I think the whole, and I've only seen 2 movies out of A24. I think a third one I don't really remember that well. But I was gonna say, yeah, exactly. And I think the thing with A24 is their whole style is based around symbolism and the art of VFX and cinematography and all of
Yeah.
that. I think what they're trying to do is create a movie where it's more sophisticated, where people actually have to be like,
Right.
oh, okay, I have to really think about this movie to understand it.
Mhm.
And I think once you understand the movie to the extent that you probably should be able to, it's like, okay,
Then
this
you
movie
can really
feels
enjoy
good.
it.
Exactly.
thing
And I
is-
and I
Yeah.
and the thing with Midsummer is it's about a Swedish cult, which is completely foreign to I'm sure 90% of people who watch this
Exactly.
movie. So it's like, okay, you have to
Yeah.
do background information, you have to understand the separate situations behind the movie, and that's what makes it hard. And that's what sometimes for a lot of people can make it unenjoyable because you don't really have a good amount of information on this movie to the extent that you probably want to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to summarize what Sai was saying is pretty much that if you didn't like this movie because you didn't understand the Swedish culture, you're racist. And I mean,
Yeah.
with that said, I feel like we've kind of yelled at each other about the our little general thoughts. So
Mhm.
Adam, why don't you move us on?
All right, so now let's talk about characters and acting. I'll start. It was my main problem with this movie, and I'm not sure if this was intentional.
Yeah.
But they made all of the characters like so hateable. Like there could be a point to that. It's possible, but like I just like could not stand most of the characters.
Everyone had a certain like everyone had it's kind of like I'll do kind of a comparison to another director. So Joss Whedon, when he did his Avengers, what he did with all those guys is they took one character trait that they had that was pretty prominent and just dialed it up and just made it really very noticeable, just to like separate all the like the different Avengers to make you know who's who. I feel like that.
I guess it's just the way to distinguish like each character.
And that's what happened in this movie. Like everyone had this. Everyone was either emotionally fucking stupid. One was a dumbass. Another was a dumbass, and one was just like, "Oh, woman." Oh. Like it was it's just, and then you have one who's just like, "Yes, we are normal." You know, it's just everyone. You could tell everyone apart by simply one characteristic, and I don't know if that's good or that's bad. I'm just saying that.
I mean, that can be used well, but like in this case, it wasn't good because there wasn't enough to tell all the characters apart. They only did that with a couple of characters.
I was
And
gonna
when there's so much like character-based symbolism, which is like the point of the movie, it just doesn't work if you don't have those characters.
I was gonna say that
Exactly.
my least favorite person in the entire movie was Mark, and it's just because it's like he's so dumb and like hard to watch. Just because the one thing that he messed up on big time was he didn't respect like the culture or the rituals or their customs that
But
the
he
people had.
chose to go there. And he's like, yes.
That was his character, though.
I know
That's
I know what you're saying, but like that's why he was probably like the least likable, to be honest. And honestly, I didn't mind Danny because I know a lot of people don't like Danny, but I think Danny was easily the best character in the movie, and that's my opinion. But the only reason I'm saying that is because, yeah, of course,
Yeah, exactly.
It's also because I think her background as her parents' death and her sister's death, and although it was quite annoying and repetitive throughout the movie, I think it's what really set her up as a character, and it really gave her overall like I don't know how to put it, but I think she was a very important character.
Because if they didn't do that, like the problem is they can't do that for every character. You don't have the time. Like this movie would be 6 hours long. But then another
this
thing,
movie's long anyways.
Yeah, and then another thing you can say about these characters is like, obviously I know there's like a very high chance that the only reason they included Josh's character as African American is, again, I've been saying this for a lot of movies, because they have to meet this like stupid quota of being like diverse and stuff, and also they use the trope like black person dies in horror movie, and I think again that's really stupid.
Well, I mean, they all died.
I think the good thing about Josh though is he was very interested and he's what allowed the movie to kind of scope in on different things.
They did the most stupid thing ever. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, but I think he allowed the movie to be a little bit more deep in terms of, because he's the one person in the movie, again, who is writing the thesis, but he's the one person who like scoped in more on like the paintings and like the different variations of how this community acted.
I mean, Danny did too, but that wasn't like her goal. It was like a side thing of her character. Yeah. And also, like, something I would like to talk about while we're on like side things for the characters is the way they acted while while just high and hallucinating, that was
It
pretty
was
good.
it was funny.
It
Yeah.
was funny and pretty good, to be honest. When the
Mhm.
way they
Yeah.
reacted
Yeah.
to like, oh my, like, whoa, kind of reminds me of
Yeah.
those videos you see on TikTok where those people have the trippy Minecraft texture pack. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
Yeah, for sure, dude. But the one other character, and this is probably the last character I'll speak on, was Simon or Simone, however you want to kind of say it. I
British
didn't like him
boyfriend.
because, yeah, I didn't like him because he had no character development. Like literally nothing was
He
said
just
about him.
popped
Nothing.
into the story.
Like he was just
Exactly.
kind of like a side character, like a
Exactly.
side
His-
character.
However, we'll get into this later, so I won't go in depth about it. But his death was quite interesting,
Yeah. Pretty
quite good. But yeah, it was a very good death.
Yep.
Yeah. Put it that way. It was a
Sigh,
very
dude. It's a person dying. It can't be good.
no,
Come on,
no,
man.
I know, but I'm
Don't
saying
be
the way
morbid.
yeah, but the way they I guess set it up and did all the effects and everything was incredibly done. That's what I kind of
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. His was the coolest for sure though.
But wait, no, but I swear, dude, in the barn, that wasn't Simon. That was Connie. That was the girlfriend. I swear, dude.
I thought it
Oh
was.
no, it was Simon. It was Simon.
Can you look it
Simon.
up just to be sure?
Yeah.
Just to be sure. But yeah. So has everyone spoken on their characters and acting? Luke, do you have anything to say on it?
I have.
Why don't you talk about
I
the
mean,
acting? Because I mean, like, I feel like we've explained the characters pretty well.
acting. I actually think the acting wasn't too bad. I mean, I can appreciate that. I mean, I can see that there are many skilled actors in this movie, and I think they did a very good job of that. I just think that the plot line and like the development of the characters were kind of what was off. It
Yeah.
wasn't the fault of the acting.
Mm-hmm.
It was the fault of like the movie's layout. Kind of.
Sorry to interrupt. Simon was the one who died in the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yep.
All right, Adam, why don't you move it along?
All right. So now we get to talk about dialogue.
Why don't we have
Um,
Nick open up on this one?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I mean, I feel like having the two languages, kind of like Swedish and English, obviously, in the same film, I thought they did a good job with that. I mean, there was nothing really left out that like was really necessary. Like anything spoken in Swedish that like they didn't translate. It's like something like that. But I thought they did a good job with the dialogue. Nothing seemed like really out of place or like bad. And I definitely don't think it took off from the movie at all.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like some of the
Yeah.
some of the dialogue in this, like between characters, was like kind of cringy. So I feel like I feel like 50% of Christian's lines are just like very forced and feel natural.
Mm-hmm.
The birthday
little
song.
Yeah, that was weird. That made me cringe like really bad.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job though on the dialogue because they actually balanced between, not that there was too much Swedish spoken, but I think they balanced really well between the two languages.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Sai, did you think some of the lines were like cringy? Like more often than not, did you think the lines were cringy? Because I felt like between the American characters, they were. Between the Swedish people, phenomenal.
Yeah, it kind of
Even when they
solely
talk English.
Yeah, it solely depends on the situation, but I think the acting and the dialogue were really good. I don't think there was a flaw in the acting at all. It wasn't cheesy,
No.
none of that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
The
no.
acting was good.
Yeah, the acting was really good. The actors were good. But yeah, and the dialogue in general, I think was good as well. I think it added to the movie. I think it made it very mysterious and because obviously you're watching the movie, and as the characters are, starting to figure stuff out, you're starting to figure stuff out, and that's what I think is able to.
It brings you along the journey. That's the kind of the point.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's what the dialogue adds to the movie, if I were to say.
Because it just like immerses you more into that world. So it kind of like gives you a more like realistic, like you're there in that movie instead of like just watching it. Yeah.
Mhm.
I never really got immersed into this movie just because it was so like bizarre,
I mean,
It's definitely hard to
I mean,
get into it.
Yeah,
sorry.
it's just unrelatable kind
was-
of.
Exactly.
I was for a while, but they kind of lost me with the weird like sex ritual part.
Yeah.
That was
Like,
that was like,
everything
come
beyond
on,
that was
man,
just like,
I think,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I
there's a-
felt it makes sense that it was in there though, because it's like these people are so weird. Like I get it. They're
Yeah. I'm
named.
not saying. Yeah.
I think it was a scene that, and obviously I'm sure if you dive deeper into the movie, I think there was a meaning behind the scene in terms of maybe like some Swedish clubs do that. Who knows? But
Well,
I think
no,
there was-
because the girl was like found a liking to him, and then she wanted to mate with him, and then the cult's like, yeah,
Mhm.
you can do that.
Yeah,
It's fine.
and then that's obviously, and I'll add on after this, but I think that's obviously where Danny went into I forgot, the one room and started, crying because she saw her boyfriend.
No,
you know.
she went into there. She like peeked through the door and saw him like fucking
Yeah.
this girl,
And
and then she
after-
started like
yeah.
throwing up and then crying, and it was like
Yeah, and then
awful.
after that, the whole group of girls, since she had already been queen, like May Queen or whatever,
Mhm.
all the girls came in and like started mimicking
vocalized
her.
crying with her.
Yeah,
They weren't
and that
mimicking her.
was-
They were doing it with her as like.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
creepy though. That was creepy.
No,
that
but
was
you know what was
definitely-
also
I was
creepy
just-
when those ladies were vocalizing with that girl's moans
Yeah.
when they were
Oh,
having
yeah.
sex.
Oh,
That was
Yeah, that
I
was
like I get it, but like why?
Yeah, a little
Uh-huh.
bit
It's
excessive.
pretty weird.
But the one thing I was gonna
Mhm.
add on was, although
I mean-
a lot of these, I would say like situations seem very excessive, I think it's very needable because it adds like that disturbing level of the movie.
Uh-huh.
Like this movie
Exactly.
would not be what it is if there weren't disturbing scenes like there was. And
Right.
obviously
Nothing
a lot of
says
it-
That
horror
is a
movie.
fact.
Nothing
Yeah,
says
That is
horror.
a fact.
Wait, what did you say, Side? That Luke is agreeing with? Wait, you a lot of voices.
No,
I said-
I mean,
I basically said, sorry, Luke. I basically said that this movie would not be what it is if there weren't to be disturbing scenes. And although the
Yeah, but that's
disturbing
the point.
scenes, yeah,
For
obviously,
sure. Yeah.
although the disturbing scenes are a bit excessive at times, it's like I think it's like what makes the movie, and I think there's
Yeah.
symbolism behind the scenes, and it
And
makes
that-
Yes.
that's another one of the reasons that I really don't like the movie. It's just
But
There's
it's
really
not. But Luke, the
no-
thing
no
is you don't
point.
like the movie because of that. But you just I feel like you yourself
It's
don't
the
like
way
this.
it
this,
makes
this
you feel.
Yeah,
I
I don't think you like this genre.
exactly.
I mean, but
I just don't care for this
Luke, what you're
genre
thinking
too
is
much.
nothing says horror movie like Naked Grandma.
I love that part, bro. No, so I think the thing that is making the movie a little bit unlikable for Luke, and maybe even some other people out there, or a lot of other people out there who knows, is the fact that if you haven't like become accustomed to horror or disturbing movies, you're gonna be like taken aback by the scenes that are in the movie. Like for me, I've seen a crap ton of like not the exact same scenes, but scenes that are to the
Very
extent
similar,
and level
like
that they are.
gruesome, gross.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Passion of
So,
Christ.
so it doesn't take
Mhm.
it doesn't take me aback as much as this movie probably should. It's
Right,
like
Speaking of Passion of the
Sigh-
Christ,
sigh.
speaking of Passion of the Christ, like Luke, for you, like while I was watching this, I was like really thinking, I'm like, Luke is gonna super talk about how again,
Yeah.
like the Passion of the Christ, it ruins
Yeah.
a probably good story that could have dealt with all the gruesome
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, but it is a cult, so you kind of have to adjust to that
Again,
whole.
but
plot.
Yeah.
Christianity was a cult, so and the Jews were a cult, so I mean, what?
Yeah, if you want to say every religion is a cult, then go ahead. But
I'm talking about Passion of the
Mm.
Christ, and not the religions
Yeah.
in general. I'm talking
Yeah,
about in
yeah.
that movie.
no.
It was
I
all
know.
cultist.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I mean, honestly,
Sigh, I have a
religion can be
question.
interpreted as a cult.
yeah, go ahead.
Sigh, do you
Basically, any
do you
religion.
like enjoy watching like these disturbing type? Like, why do you enjoy watching these? I'm curious.
So the
Like
thing
these disturbing
I do as
horror type
well.
movies.
Yeah, so the thing with disturbing horror movies that I don't think a lot of people are able to, I guess, get around is that they're very interesting and there's majority of the time symbolism behind it. Sometimes there's just straight slasher movies that are just stupid, like Friday the 13th, which is obviously a cheesier example. But I think I liked Midsommar a lot. I mean, not too much, but a good amount because I think there was a lot of symbolism in it, and I think it's interesting to kind of like backtrack on it and look it all up, and figure out the story behind Midsommar as a whole, which we'll get into symbolism later,
Thing
and I'll
is-
explain it in deeper. But
I
also
would.
one other thing, Luke, before I forget what I'm gonna say is, although
Yeah.
the kills are gruesome and stuff, and you might see me as like a sociopath, I wouldn't say I enjoy watching it, but I respect the art and how the producers and directors actually
Yeah.
make the scenes what they are. That's why I
Mhm.
think it's very interesting because it's like, okay, yeah, it's a gruesome movie, yeah, I get it, but I think you kind of have to look behind that and see,
Like
you
the
gotta respect-
creativity.
yeah, exactly. You have to respect how the kills are done and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm There's like a lot of work and like
yeah.
there's
I-
lots of
I
work
agree
put
with
into
Sai.
it to make it look like that. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's 100% disturbing, and that's not the part that I enjoy, but I enjoy understanding the art behind it and what it actually is. Like, that's why a lot of people like horror movies, for the thriller-oriented portion of it and for the kills of it. Like, a lot of people look for
Yeah.
the kills movies
I
because
mean-
it's interesting how it's done.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the thing is with this movie though, I mean, I can respect your opinion, but
Of course.
it wasn't super like thrilling. Not thrilling at all, actually. It was insanely boring.
I think the one thing that I mean, completely respect your opinion, but I think the one thing that was a little bit thrilling about this movie was like, what's gonna happen next? You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
Because
all these characters are branching out, doing their own things. There's two characters that are writing a thesis on the entire thing. It's like, what's gonna happen next? Like, anything could happen in this movie when you're first watching. for the first
Spoiler,
time.
they all die.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Luke, I mean, Luke, listen to me,
More
Luke,
death.
Luke, the thing you gotta understand, Luke, for you is, I know you weren't gonna like this movie from the get-go. I knew that.
Right.
Because Luke, we just, it's established you don't like this style of movie. Like,
Yeah.
Sorry for
it's
making
just,
you watch it.
yeah, I mean, like, Luke, I like, that's the point of having the 5 of us, because it's like we all have differing opinions. You don't
Mhm.
like the style of movie,
Mhm.
and it's good to hear what you're saying. But
Yeah.
you know, I feel like you're just kind of hating on it now. Like, I know I know you don't like it, but like, don't try to understand Sai, because he has a lot of
Yeah.
good stuff to say, but still hate
Yeah.
on it though.
I completely respect Luke's opinion. It's fine.
Same,
He
same.
has his own opinion on the movie, and that's the whole point of the podcast, is to kind of branch
You
out
know,
on our
free
different
country
opinions.
America. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And if people want to watch, and watch our review and understand our different viewpoints from the movie, they might want to watch it, and that's their choice. And Luke, completely understand where you're coming from, and I'm sure there's millions of people who watch the movie and are thinking the exact same thing as you. And I do agree, a lot of these scenes are like very excessive and overdone, but I think it adds a taste to the movie
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, you look at this movie and it's like, okay, I think there's a great storyline. And I think the one thing though is that all the characters branched out, right? And they all were doing their own things. They were all being
Mhm.
idiots in the movie, which is a little bit cheesy. They were all doing their own things. It's like, who were writing a thesis, they were branching out, and they were slowly being killed. It was like your normal slasher movie, but with a lot
Yeah.
more symbolism behind it.
And then
So
you
I think-
notice.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what made the movie, although a little bit cheesy, a little bit interesting as well. Because it's like, what are each character doing? And again, anything can happen, dude. Two elderly
Exactly.
people jump off a cliff and get their head smashed in because they're not dead to the ground yet. And then you cut to a scene where they're all drinking tea on a table.
It's
like,
normal, dude. Come on,
yeah.
don't be racist.
Yeah.
It's the yeah. This is an interesting movie, but like it's weird because it's just the things that you're saying, Sai, that you like, are the things that I don't like.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, no, 100%. And I
It's
understand where
really
you're coming
weird,
from.
but like
It's gonna be
yeah.
it's gonna be difficult to like. That's why I like horror, though. You know what I mean? I like the thriller behind it, and I like
No,
the
yeah,
art.
I
behind it.
sometimes enjoy watching like those thriller type movies, but like
Yeah.
Like
could
Michael
ask-
Jackson's Thriller. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that
Mhm.
movie.
oh yeah,
guys,
Um,
you know
that's
what?
actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
We should do that.
But like you look at, yeah, we definitely should. You look at like people who like horror, and they're probably gonna say the same thing. They like thriller, and they like the portions of the movie. They like the art of the movie. Different stuff like that. Everybody has their own genres that they like. Like I also like comedy. Comedy's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
That's, I don't know.
But
I'm
you
not
can't
saying
tell
I-
jokes anymore.
I'm not-
2021
yeah, of course.
climate.
Yeah,
Mhm.
of course, you're gonna get canceled.
You know what we should watch, guys?
No.
What?
Under the Skin. It's another A24 movie. It's very very
Another
good.
one of these
It's like-
movies.
Luke, you
No,
don't have
no,
to
it's not like this. It's
There's
more
a lot
like
of these-
Oh,
sci-fi.
okay, okay.
It's like
Oh,
it's
good,
one
I
of my
like
favorite
sci-fi.
movies. It's great.
Luke
Alright,
likes
sci-fi's
sci-fi.
good.
Cuts to aliens having sex in a spaceship.
Oh, okay.
I mean, actually,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's basically
that's where it's at. That's where it's
That's
at.
good.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
cult chanting while you're having sex too?
No, no, no.
Oh, are they? Just matching the tone of the moans from the aliens.
That dude, are you a rapper? Matching the tone
No,
of the
not
moans.
quite.
But yeah, again, honestly, I'm not saying I like the kills. I think that was worded wrong. I like the art behind it. Like you,
Yeah.
you watch a horror movie for the kills. I'm sorry, you do. You don't watch
Yeah,
a horror
right.
watch the horror movie for the plot, which normally sucks ass, and then you watch the horror movie for the kills and the portion of thrill behind it and the anxiety you might get from watching the movie. Like there's a lot of movies that get me on edge. Like shit, I forgot what the movie was called, but like
I guess it wasn't a good movie then.
Strangers and Hush. Like Strangers and Hush get you on edge, bro. Like 100%. If you haven't watched it, watch
Hush
it.
was
100%
scary.
recommend.
And Strangers is trash in my opinion.
Yeah, actually, it was a little bit cheesy, but it got
Yeah.
me on edge. Exactly what I mean.
Hush is
You know?
good though.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you think about those movies, and it's like, okay.
Right.
So yeah, hope that.
Sai, what was that movie we watched together? Horror movie.
How long ago?
It was like at the mansion, something something. There was like, oh my god, I swear,
Oh no, I know. You're next.
something like that. I remember me and you watched the movie
Was it
together.
When? Like,
Remember
at
we
your
were
house?
sitting in the front. We were sitting in like the front right. I remember.
At
Hold
the
on.
movie?
Yeah, at the theater like 2 years ago. Me and you. I
Yeah,
know, it's
no,
super
well-
off topic. I remember. We watched this one.
Yeah,
There's like this
sorry about
mansion,
that.
there's like the wife, and then there's the guy who's super protective of the house. But even though he moved out, bring him.
Nah, bro, I don't remember.
I'll find it. Wait, I'll go on mute. But Adam, move us along into the next one because I'm pretty sure
Sure,
Sai
sure,
will
sure.
also like to talk about this one along with Nick too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So now what's next? VFX.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
Okay.
that was, in my opinion, done really well.
Oh,
very well. Yes.
Yeah.
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 I loved
highlight.
I don't think there was a portion of the movie that was done poorly on VFX. Literally.
No,
You
no,
think
not
about
at all.
It wasn't cheesy either. Like the
Not at all.
distortion kind of things when they were high and shit.
Yep.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
yeah.
not bad.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
100%.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
and-
was
ooh.
all done very well.
I love how with the distortion, like they didn't distort the actual people, just the background. That was great.
Exactly. That was cool. And
Yeah.
then like
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
the
It's
grass
done really
grow
well.
through her foot. Like that was cool. Yeah.
Right.
That basically allowed, I guess, the characters to be kind of shown like focus on the characters and what
Yeah.
they're going.
It also
You know?
helped you like
Exactly.
establish that they're stuck. And also sorry, The Intruder is the movie.
Oh yeah, yep.
Never heard of that.
Yep, I remember that. Yep. Okay. Yep. I do remember that. That's what I was thinking. But
Okay, sorry, but yeah, so it makes you feel like they know once they start taking these drugs, they're in for the ride and they're not getting out. That's kind of another
Mhm.
like hidden thing that it's trying to show.
Yeah.
I did like the hallucination parts because I think it also added to the background of Danny, who was I mean, again, it was a little bit of a boring character, but I liked her character development. It added to her parents' death and her sister's death, and it also just added like to the mysteriousness of the cult. Like, what are they putting in the drinks? Why are they getting these
Exactly.
hallucinations? What are they
Yeah.
thinking while they're in the area? Because you think about this, which may seem quite fake. You think about like the spirits that might be around there. You know, like I don't know, different things could.
And I feel like
Enact
it's good
different
that
thoughts
I feel like it's good that like the
different
hallucinative stuff wasn't explained because now it just add too much of nonsense.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like whenever they'd ask a question, it just give you more questions. Like
Yeah.
like they'd be like, "Oh, what's in here?" And they're like, "Oh, it's this," and you'd be like, "Whoa."
Yeah, it just
More
adds
questions.
to the mystery of like
Yeah.
what it
Exactly.
is. And I
As a
think
whole
that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
Because then it just leaves more up to the imagination. It like lets you interpret the movie like how you want to. You know?
yeah, and like the head crunching was
Oh,
great.
that was wow.
My
Yeah.
cheek crunchy,
That was
my
unique.
cheek crunchy.
Yeah.
my cheek-
Yeah.
very satisfying.
Whoa.
I was like as
One
I was
other
like
thing.
as oh wait.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you
Nick,
can go
sorry.
stop. Oh. I was like, as soon as I saw that guy with the hammer, I was like, oh, somebody's head is getting bashed in.
Somebody's
Yeah.
getting arcade mode right now.
Mhm.
Okay. I was gonna say one thing I wanted to like elaborate on or talk about maybe a little bit with VFX was the maypole dancing scene. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Is it the one at the end where it's like the last girl
She went
standing?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
that
that was
much
my
VFX.
favorite
That was
scene. That was
cool.
a
That
very
was
good
really
scene.
well done.
Yeah,
That was really
Yeah.
well done.
that like made the
but
whole
there wasn't
movie.
there wasn't a terrible amount of VFX. It was just more like trippy, like kind of making the.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, what I really liked is how they made the trees and stuff look alive. I feel like we already said
Mhm.
that, but like I really
Yeah.
like how they made everything more motiony, like it
That
moves
was
with
cool.
the character. That was
Yeah.
very good.
I think they did an incredible job with making it not too boring. Just in the sense that like I think they added a lot of saturation to the movie, to be honest. And I don't know if that's maybe me, but like
We'll
they
talk
added.
about that for cinematography. So
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, the reason I wanted to talk about the dancing scene was just because I think it was more like a more prominent scene, and it kind of was starting to wrap the movie up. Because you see after that, a majority of the characters you find out how they died, and a few beforehand. But that's when the movie I think started up, and that's when Danny is labeled May Queen. So
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
when stuff that's when stuff starts to get trippy. So yeah.
Mhm.
If you
Mhm.
watch the movie, once the May pole dancing scene is done, get ready to brace yourself.
Yeah, because it just
Yeah.
goes downhill.
Deep
from
throat
there.
fish challenge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I forget.
That
Did
was
she deep
funny.
throat the fish or no?
No.
No,
Yeah.
she tried, but then no. Yeah.
No. All right.
Yeah, I just did a little. I just wanted to kind of say a couple words, but yeah, VFX and also just cinematography, which I know
Luke,
we'll talk
not
about.
that
but
question
they're
yet.
Not
Please
yet.
stop.
They're kind of
Not
they're
yet.
kind
Get
of
shot with.
tied. I mean, okay,
They're not.
no,
I'll
but
talk
there
about
there were definitely two. Those were the two things that I appreciated in this movie, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not the gruesome death.
Mhm.
All right. So I feel like we've yelled at each other again enough. So Adam, push us along.
Yeah.
my friend.
Wow. Okay. So now we're gonna be moving on to pacing, and I'll start here. I think that it was very extremely slow.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it had
yeah.
to explain. It had to like subliminally explain by not
Mhm.
explaining.
Yeah, but
By not
I mean,
explaining at all.
to get a little bit in the plot structure here.
Yep.
I feel like the symbolism in this movie that was all really great, and that's that is the movie. But
Mhm.
when you do that, you can't forget about the fact that you have to have an interesting story too.
Yeah.
And there is just not a lot of substance to that story. Like you have to tell a good story and then draw symbolism from that. It feels like they were just like, oh, we have some runes and we have
Some
like
books,
the
some Doctor
bear.
Strange, yeah.
Yeah, and let's make a movie out of this. Well, what's the story? Oh, there is no story. Just have them like dance around and shit for 2 hours.
Well, I was
Well,
I was gonna say.
Like,
Go ahead.
I mean, I feel like they do have a story. I mean, like
No.
it's their
It's not a good
so
one.
their friend convinces them to go join or like go to this like cult commune thing
right.
But they don't know that.
in Sweden, and then like a bunch of stuff happens to them, and like that's the movie.
And that's
Like-
I was
that's
gonna
literally
say-
it. That's what we're saying, Nick.
Exactly.
I know, but I don't
There's
think
just
that's a bad
there's-
thing.
That's
So I was
literally
gonna say
two
that-
things. It's literally
One thing is,
some stuff happens to this girl's family, and then she goes with these group of friends to Sweden, and some messed up
That
stuff
was three
happens.
things.
Yeah, hold on. I was gonna say, Luke,
Yeah.
that I think you're underappreciating the film and like completely undertoning it because here's the
Yeah.
thing. I feel like, and with all due respect, I think you're like making it to where you're. I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but like, I feel like you're making the plot more boring than it actually was. That doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
It was
But
so
listen,
boring.
But here's the thing. It was a very slow-paced movie, but for a
Yes.
reason. It was to add to the sense that they're in a cult.
They're there
Everything-
forever. They're not getting out.
Yeah,
Mhm. Exactly.
Could not have put that better. I think it was to
Creative
basically.
decisions.
I think it was another thing to symbolize, like, okay, they're gonna be there for a long time, and that's why the movie was long. It added to it, but also not to mention, I don't think the plot was bad at all. I think the plot was
Yeah.
good. I don't think it was the best, but I
It
think
served its
I will-
purpose.
So
exactly. And
what?
the one thing is, sorry, Luke. I think the one thing is it's like you think about everything that led up to the moment that they got there and to where the movie ended, and I think everything makes perfect sense. Her parents die, so boom, she's already on edge. She might need a vacation. Boom, then her friends come over, and then this guy named Pelly comes over, who's from Sweden, who says he has this really good getaway, place where they can go. In reality, it's a cult. He's trying to lure them in. They don't know that yet, so then they get there, and then they go on hallucinogens. Then they're idiots from then on, and then boom, the movie ends. Like, I don't know. I think
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, but like
That's where I find it where it falls short. It's just a really weak plot.
But then,
Yeah,
that
like-
means you
Yeah.
can't. You have to balance the things out, right? And I think they put way too much emphasis on being symbolistic. The plot
Yeah.
served
Exactly.
its purpose. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like.
But I don't-
It wasn't awful. Luke,
The
you
thing
can't.
is-
Yeah.
You cannot tell me this plot
Okay,
was
okay.
bad, dude. Literally, have you seen
No.
other
It-
awful
it-
movies? That shark
Oh,
movie
yeah.
Adam sent. Remember that?
oh yeah.
That was bad.
Oh, so I
Yeah.
would love that.
Okay,
Okay.
I feel like the plot just
No, Shark
it, it,
Exorcist.
It
Oh,
didn't.
what the fuck?
right.
It would have served its purpose if it would have set up the symbols more successfully, like Adam was saying. Like, there could have been so much more to this movie, and I think they just kind of airballed it.
Yeah, no, I 100% understand, but and I get where you're coming from, but I think the thing again that made up this movie was okay. The plot makes sense in the beginning, and I think everybody here can agree on that. Maybe not Luke, but I think
Mhm.
everyone here can agree. The beginning of the plot makes sense.
No, I'm not. I'm okay, Sai. Hold on, pause.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I'm not saying it's quite the opposite. I mean, the plot makes. I mean, the plot is insanely like simple, but the things that
That's the
happen
point. It's supposed
along
to be
the way.
because the thing
Well, yeah,
the themes are supposed
obviously.
to build around it.
Yeah.
This isn't like this can't be the most complicated plot in the history of the world. Listen, it gets complicated once you dive into the movie and understand the symbolism behind it, and that's what makes the movie complicated. And the other thing is that I was gonna say, the beginning of the movie makes perfect sense in my opinion. Her parents die, she's on edge about it. Boom, she wants a
Of
vacation.
course.
Then Pelly comes along and she gets there. Like I think that all makes perfect sense. And then one other
Her
thing.
parents die is her only character trait.
Okay, yeah, but that's what adds to the movie.
Exactly.
That's what makes the
What?
movie.
I wouldn't say it adds to the movie.
Because that's like everything that happens to her is built around that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you can't have that be your only character trait.
It's such a one-sided character.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole reason behind it is because of her parents' death. Listen, the movie would have never occurred if her parents'
Right.
Because listen, again, like I said, she had trauma because of her parents and her sister.
That's her whole motivation for going on the vacation, which is the whole movie.
Could you imagine your parents died due to carbon monoxide poisoning, including your sister or whoever your siblings are, and then boom, Mr. Pele comes up, a Swedish man, with your friends and says, hey, let's go to this wonderful, Sweden vacation. Boom, I would say yes in an instant. I want to get my mind off of this situation. That makes sense in my opinion. Respect your opinions though, of course. But yeah, that makes. And then one other thing, the rest of the movie is of course like learning what the cult is, and it seems boring, but you're basically following the character's point of view of what is going on, obviously. But you're figuring out slowly what the cult is and like why it's the thing. Like that's the whole point. Like you're following what the characters are slowly learning. That's why it's slow, because it's not going to take a second to understand why.
Because they won't
Just
be able to process it in a couple minutes.
And the entire movie builds up like a whole like thriller oriented, and I forgot the word what it is, but it builds up suspense. It builds up suspense in the entire movie until you get to the end where the deaths are occurring, and then you begin to understand why the deaths are occurring.
Okay, I didn't feel really any suspense.
No.
Just because there were so many deaths, so many just horribly gruesome deaths, and it's just like there's no suspense. It's just like you know everyone's gonna die, and it's just like, what's the point?
Well, Danny didn't die.
My first ever thought, sorry, I'm gonna stop talking as much as I am after this. But my first thought watching this movie, when I got to the end, bro, I was taken aback. Because when I watched this in theaters, bro, like, it surprised the shit out of me. I will not lie. Like, you go from just, like, obviously you slowly get more and more gruesome throughout the movie, but it's like, you're like taken aback by all the deaths at the end of the movie. Like, what is going on? You know what I mean?
And then she just smiles at the end, and then the movie just ends. It's like,
like, what the heck?
That was good. That was good.
No, that was good because that showed her transition mind from not wanting to be in the cult to okay, I'm into this. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Really disturbing. And it's crazy how psychotic and like messed up in the head she gets throughout the entire movie. Her parents are dead, and her sister's dead in the beginning of the movie, so she already has that trauma. She goes through the entire cult, and then boom, towards the end, although she's on edge, she just smiles and goes with it. That's what she
because she finds her power. She finds her
She
outlet.
goes through her journey.
Exactly.
Part of the journey is the end, as a wise Captain America once said.
Yep.
Or Iron.
But I think where Luke's coming from is what they have as like plot. Like that's a good basis for a plot, but I feel like adding something to it would have pushed this movie in the direction where it would be like a very iconic, like greatest of all time sort of thing. Like there's a lot of symbolism here, but when it's built off of almost nothing, it's just harder to enjoy it.
It doesn't mean too much, yeah.
Just curious, just one thing. So Luke and you, Adam, you and Luke are basically both saying, and at least somewhat, that there should have been something added onto the movie. What do you think could have been added onto the movie?
I don't know. I feel like there should have been like some sort of twist, some sort of
Well, the twist was that they're all dead, and then she smiles towards
That's
the
not really a
ending.
twist.
Plot
Is that-
twist, everyone dies.
it's
Get pranked.
Whoa, no, it's predictable that they're gonna die. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
I feel like by twist you mean it's like I thought the twist could have really been. Wait, Sai, let me say. I feel like a really good twist that they could have put in was that, Danny was. Maybe it was a whole pigment of her imagination. This whole thing. Or maybe
Yeah.
maybe she's the one who's actually
Hallucination.
conducting all of it without even knowing
Yeah.
it. Maybe she's like so tied into it. Like she comes in there and she was already tied
Yeah.
into it. Maybe some
And
like
then-
spirit thing after her sister's death. That's what I think would have been a really
And then when she wakes up, she's on a fidget spinner in space.
oh my god.
Yep.
And there's and then there's
A docking scene.
yeah. This
Yep.
this specific docking scene, and then
Yeah, she
It all just goes
wakes up, like walks up to this guy. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Docking." Roll credits.
yeah.
Okay,
And
wait,
then
way to tie this
that
back
would lead
into the long
perfectly.
movie.
That would lead perfectly into a sequel, like perfectly.
Well, this isn't the
Like-
kind of movie that
This is
should
not
have
a
a sequel.
sequel movie.
No.
They add a sequel to Midsommar.
Neither is Interstellar.
We're kind of okay. Sigh. We were kind of joking. But
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, if you were to add
You
it,
were
like,
joking.
uh,
Very much
hypothetically
joking.
speaking, if you were, I know, but if hypothetically speaking, if you were to add a
Okay,
sequel
Ben
to-
Shapiro.
oh yeah, my bad. Okay, it would basically just be maybe at most like another group of people show up, and then everything goes to shit, again. But that's all I can think of, to be
Yeah.
honest. And then maybe she's a part of the cult.
double the shit. You love to see it.
no, double the shit, double the skull at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, that's
Yes.
Dude, honestly,
Ooh.
this movie really pushed me over the edge.
There's something I really want to play right now.
This movie,
No.
yeah,
Don't
this
do it.
movie
Evan.
really made me roar like an eagle. Yeah, that wasn't funny, but you only understand. that
Yeah.
This movie really took the piss out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole time we were watching this movie, I could just hear moaning sounds coming from Luke. It was great.
Dude.
I
Were
was
you,
on
were you
mute,
trying? Were you
maybe-
trying? Were you trying to harmonize with him? You were going.
Yeah. I was.
It's funny.
All right. So Adam, let's get a move on, my friend.
Okay,
Yep.
so well, we were on pacing, but we talked a lot about plot structure. Does anyone have anything to add for that? I
I think
don't.
we already kind of talked about that.
Yeah, we definitely talked about it. The
Alright.
one last thing I was gonna say was, wait, we should maybe can we? I don't know if can we go over the favorite parts of our plot, like just just
Yeah.
Sure.
Of
That
course.
sounds good.
Sai, why don't
You
you
want me
start
to-
us off?
Yeah, okay. So I think my favorite part was the ending because you can't the beginning of the movie isn't really likable because it's not like you have a lot of information on everything. So I think the ending was my favorite just because of how everything turned from like, okay, this isn't the worst movie to really disturbing, And then of course you hear Danny smile at the end, which I think was symbolism for her completion of like being finally, I don't know how to put this, like settling with herself in a way because she went through so much trauma, so it's like, okay, this is the only life that I can really live now and be
This is the
satisfied
way.
with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the ending was just good because everything had happened already. You kind of understand things to the extent that you do or can, at least with the information you already know.
That's
So
just
then-
part of the watch.
So yeah, I
Mhm.
definitely think the ending was the best for me, at least. I don't think any other part of the movie was really that interesting.
Yeah.
For me at least, I think my favorite scene was definitely Grandma's sex scene. No, my favorite
yeah.
scene was definitely I would say for me the last meal. So when after Danny is crowned queen, and then you have what's his face, Christian there. I thought that was a very powerful scene, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
For me, I really liked really the dancing scene where like they just dance around the thing and then like she ends up becoming the May Queen, because I feel like that's sort of where everything starts really like clicking into place a little bit, and that's like where the movie starts to get that sort of like thriller and builds that anticipation,
Mhm.
if you guys know what I
Mm.
mean.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the portion of the movie where and I think this was something that I wish they would have elaborated on a little bit more. Were they kind of like were getting introduced to the whole
The gang.
the whole gang in Sweden, and I think it would have been better to get to just kind of have more of that. I don't know if you agree
Well,
with me on that, but I mean,
Yeah, because
you kind of got
because-
introduced to the characters you got introduced to. Sorry.
yeah, this
that was
movie.
early. I mean, I don't know.
This movie, like, you kind of said it earlier. This movie was like kind of paced a little bit slow. I mean, obviously it was intentional because you got to like build up that like under the surface like details and all that stuff. But I feel like if you added more to this movie, kind of like getting to know more people, it would just like make it feel even slower than it already is.
No,
I don't know
I'm
if
not
that would
saying
be
getting
best
to
for
know
it.
more people. Just
getting to know more about the people.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Mhm.
But there were definitely I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, but yeah,
Good point, Luke.
Nice talk.
that's all I gotta say.
So my favorite scenes, I liked the intro with like
I
the
like
title screen. where-
the two.
Yeah, where it zoomed like into the stuff. Where it zoomed into the window. I thought like that was
Did
The
you ever
music
have
looked
dreams
cool.
where
Pretty
you
powerful.
where you could where you
Oh
could do
wait,
anything?
yeah. That was when I was still playing with the volume, so like my house was shaking and it was really loud. Because Luke couldn't hear it. I also
Nice.
liked like the first meal where they had the table arranged in that weird symbol.
That was
And-
cool. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And
No.
I feel like it summed up like a lot of what this movie was trying to say just in that scene. There was the Americans who were really disconnected from all of the like small cultural things they were doing,
And they're
like
just
the
being straight up disrespectful too, which was really
yeah. And there was weird cult stuff there too. It was a lot more subtle at that point though,
Mm-hmm.
because they
You're
didn't
just
know
getting
yet.
into the swing of things. Yeah.
Yeah, so it just
Once
it
you're
summed
done.
up a lot of what the movie was trying to say just in that one scene.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I was
agree
gonna
with
say,
that.
I was gonna
And
say.
I also like the dancing scene, but go on,
Mhm.
sir.
I was gonna say. Oh, I forgot now. My lord. What were you talking about? You were talking about characters, something about characters, and then I might remember.
That was a long time ago.
No, I forgot. You were what you were just talking about. Can you just recap it really fast?
The Americans being really disconnected
Yes,
from the Swedish
yes.
culture.
I think that's what really added to the movie was like the fact that the Americans were completely disconnected with the culture, because it's like you have these Americans who are slowly learning about this entire culture and
Right.
what's happening, and then that's what I think adds to the movie, especially because it's like you're kind of being introduced to everything in a really I would say intelligent way, because it's like I don't see how else you could have been introduced to this aside from being a foreigner and looking from the inside
Yeah.
or looking from the outside in. So yeah, sorry about that brief pause, but yeah.
Because then that's kind of like
what do
how
Swedish
we're
people think
going.
of this then? Because this is
What's
kind of like this is definitely a rip on like the weird Swedish cults.
I loved how like it was hard to tell, at least for most of the movie, whether it was weird cult shit or just like Swedish culture. And where that line is drawn is just interesting.
That was
and it's-
definitely yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
up
think
for
this is all
interpretation.
cult stuff because
Yeah,
I
mean,
I think
where it's like,
I think
okay,
Swedish people are fairly normal.
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
yeah,
fairly
most
nice, actually.
Swedish people.
Hey,
but if we're
I can
talking
attest
about,
to that. I've been to
like-
Sweden. Whoa. I have been to.
Oh, really?
I'm
You
a
have?
first-hand account. I've been to Sweden, and every single person is a cult. I'm just kidding. No, every people. I feel like this for Sweden. They've really reflected the niceness of the people. At least in the beginning.
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, in
Free
the beginning. But
healthcare.
no, people in Sweden, at least where I was in. I went to Stockholm,
Stockholm.
and
Stockholm, yeah.
Stockholm.
yeah, I was in Stockholm. But the people there were very nice, very very nice people, and I think that was very well reflected in the beginning of the film.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I
But
think they did
none
a
of
good
them,
job.
none of them tried to like drag me up a building and like push me off or some shit like that.
yeah,
Right?
Oh,
It
you-
was
Nice.
good.
Nice.
Oh,
And
Yeah.
I can attest to the fact that it is very light there during summer at night.
Oh yeah,
Light as shit. Like it's.
Well, yeah, because it's like so north.
because it's so
in
far
the
north.
North, yeah.
world.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, no way.
Yeah.
You know what one thing is that. Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
This is just short. One thing that I thought would have been cool was if there was Celtic or like Viking influences on the culture.
There was.
Well, the runic language, I think, is
Right.
something.
There,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
The one thing I was gonna. Sorry, Adam. Go ahead. I keep interrupting. I apologize.
no. I'm pretty much done. You can go.
Okay, well, I was gonna say the one thing that I've seen. So the one other Swedish movie that I had watched was The Ritual. I don't.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not
I saw that. I
yeah,
saw that.
that one. It's bizarre because I connected it with Midsommar in the sense where it's
Yeah.
like it's Swedish oriented, and at the end of The Ritual. Sorry that we're getting a little off track. You see like the cult that they have and how they're run by that monster. That's basically keeping them alive.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting because every Swedish movie or Swedish-based movie that I've seen has been based off of like a cult, which is weird, but it's true. So yeah, that's the one connection I wanted to make. No, well that'd be. Never mind. But yeah,
It's culturist.
Yeah.
Xenophobic.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Yeah, but I feel like
Transphobic.
as far as just like culture in general, I feel like The Ritual. Well, I like this movie more. The Ritual did a better job of showing off the culture.
Oh, and the one thing I loved about The Ritual, sorry that we're getting off topic, but the one thing I liked about it was the vastness of the woods. That's what added to it. Because,
yeah.
like,
They should've
God,
shown
It
that.
you're like,
shows you that
okay.
they're isolated and you're not. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah.
a long way
Yeah,
out.
and the same thing with Midsommar. Like, they were isolated in that, and they were isolated in The Ritual. Those are the two parallels between the two movies. And again, if you guys are listening to this, if you haven't seen The Ritual, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. But, yeah, like, that was the one parallel between the two movies that I think added to it because it's like you watch the movie and imagine they were right next to a city. There would be no eeriness to it,
It wouldn't make sense. Yeah.
and whereas if you're watching it and they're surrounded by woods for miles and miles, you're like, okay, well these people are screwed. Like good luck, have fun.
And one thing I liked with The Ritual was the beginning where they started in. I don't remember if they started in America or not, but
Yeah, they started
didn't
in
start in Sweden.
The UK. They were.
Yeah, they didn't start in Sweden, but I feel like it was more like
Also,
in this movie when they go to Sweden, the tone changes entirely, and that's very jarring. But The Ritual is more consistent about
the one funny thing about The Ritual and Midsommar is the two main characters both had traumatic events that led to them being both like handicapped throughout the movie. Like, again, if you guys haven't seen The Ritual, go watch it. But in the movie, the main character, I'm not gonna spoil things too much, but the main character goes in, his friend both go in to get like booze from a shop, and then it's being robbed. His friend gets killed, and then they basically go on a trip to Sweden, like the woods. They're basically trying to get to like a log cabin, and then it's like a big cabin, like a resort, and then they go into the woods, and basically throughout the entire movie, he's being haunted by this like big like spiritual thing. It's weird, but it's creepy.
Yeah, the creature is really weird.
Yeah, and the same thing is being played in his head over and over and over. In terms of like the traumatic situation. Same with the girl or Danny.
Yeah.
Sorry, we can move on to something else because this is getting a little off topic.
Yeah, I mean,
We do like symbolism or
but like
something.
I can't necessarily.
Cinematography.
I can't necessarily speak from the point of view of someone who's like went through a lot of trauma, but I feel like they didn't convey that well in this movie a lot. It was very pushed back. So far as like,
I think it was left in the beginning of the movie. I think the trauma, like you didn't really think of it towards the middle of the movie. I think it was brought up in the beginning of the movie as like a form of, okay, this happened to her. She's already traumatized by something, so good luck. The character is going to be screwed in this entire movie.
and like all she does to react is cry. She doesn't like talk about it or anything, and it's just
She throws up and
Well, I mean,
to grasp
what
that.
would-
I think they should have. I think maybe she should have like. Maybe one thing that could have been added to the movie that would have been great for the situation to add on to it. Maybe make it a little bit more of a bigger. Maybe make it a bigger situation in the movie. Was maybe per se there was somebody in the cult who was like a therapist, quote unquote. She went to him and talked to him about it.
But that
and
was
then maybe there was.
Danny. She was the
Well,
psychologist.
she tried to talk with.
Oh, I know. Obviously, Danny's majoring in psych, but I'm just saying. Like,
Yeah, I
maybe
get what
was able
Sai's
to talk
saying.
to her, but yeah.
And they kind of like brainwashed her, sort of, because like
Yeah.
it was kind of unconvincing. Where like before the dancing scene, she was just not into it like everyone else, but after it, she was basically like fully like
But-
full cult.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
And
Yeah.
what's really funny
Yes.
to me is Danny went into the movie being the most disturbed one because of the trauma that she had from her parents, and then to being going throughout the movie and like she was the one character who like never changed. I think, in my opinion, because she went.
oh no, oh
No,
no,
I was.
absolutely
No,
not.
listen, the only
That was
listen.
the whole point.
What?
Yeah, no. She changed towards the end with her smile and stuff like that, but I think
But-
she had already been disturbed, so she went in already like. I don't know how to put it. I don't know where I'm getting with this, but she went in disturbed and then.
And she came
I don't
out
know, I
like
think the whole
complete
thing-
though.
And she-
I think she was the
Yeah.
only character that changed.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, sorry,
Alright.
I meant the other one. My bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah,
All right, let's
so
just do
let's
the
move
next
on.
question. I'm getting a little bit sleepy here.
Oh no, Luke!
yeah, let's
Don't get
talk
drugged
about-
out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that epic cinematography, and I'm just gonna take it
Ooh,
right away.
nice.
So
Yeah.
this movie,
Nice.
this movie had some very lovely cinematography.
Amazing.
Oh,
I really,
incredible!
I-
One scene sticks out.
I really, shut up, dude. I really enjoyed the setting. This was pretty much shot on location, which was very good.
Shot on an iPhone.
No. Wait, I
No.
know where it was shot.
Where was
I
it
know
shot?
where it was shot.
And I know where it was
it's
shot
actu-
on.
I know where it was shot though.
Where?
Yeah.
Where?
And no, it was actually shot in Hungary. Fun fact, I used to
what?
live there.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
but
they-
It was shot
Nick's hungry
yeah.
boy.
okay, but so
Mhm.
something I really liked was the very lovely camera shots. We had a lot of flipping of the camera to show that everything is going insane. I very much enjoyed the colors. I like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
warmer
it's great.
colors. I'm very glad they didn't go for something more cooler on the white balance. But
Yeah.
they shot this on Panavision, so something like they shot it in 8K. Obviously, that they didn't release it in 8K, probably in 4K. So down res, so they have a lot of information. Very good. I like the blooming of lights. Very nice. And a lot of how the scenes were set up. Even the sexual scene, it was shot. Okay, this sounds really weird.
No,
but
it was
the-
shot
the,
well. It
The
was shot
setup
well.
of that and like how it was
no.
placed, everyone was placed. Very, very good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing. So, is it okay if I go?
No, it
yeah.
isn't.
Okay. So I was gonna say I think the one thing that I think they did a great job of was the representation of what a cult might look like in terms of just different things that went on. I think they did a good amount of background research as to what a Swedish cult might look like, or even just any cult in general, what it might consist of. And I think a lot of the scenes represented that, specifically the kills. They did the kills in such like weird ways, like very specific. It wasn't like, okay, you're dead to getting stabbed, It's more like, okay, we're gonna do a blood eagle, which was used by Vikings as a torture method back in like AD. And then you think about different things where it's like, okay, well, we're gonna skin this guy's face, put it on his face, then hack him down with a mallet. It's just again different.
That's just normal stuff, though.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
normal.
It's definitely
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, no, very, very, very creative kills per se. A very creative way to down the characters. And then you also think about, I love how they did the overall area. Like the area where it was shot was incredible. It felt very cultish and very
Yeah.
felt very like lonely and
Isolated, yes.
Yes, exactly what I was about to say. But yeah, they did a great job filming it, 100%. No doubt. Very, very good job, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked how it was a bit overexposed, oversaturated, and there was just like all those warmer colors. It made you feel secure. Like,
The anime wasn't
cult was just
overexposed.
like,
If it was
it's
overexposed,
okay.
there would be blown out lights everywhere.
I
Which
think
there
it
wasn't.
added to like, this is a very bright movie to a very dark movie. It's weird because they oversaturated the movie, but then it was a very dark movie.
Because
So
I mean,
Yeah,
it's an
meant-
interesting way to go about.
yeah,
Yeah, it's meant to have like a tone of safety and security because like they don't know they're in the cult until the end.
yep, very well put.
And just the setting of Sweden being
Yeah,
like
I think
always
that-
day.
That really
It was
adds to
kinda-
like the
yeah.
like the creepiness of the movie almost, because it's like something feels wrong, but I think that's in a good way, because like something feels wrong because really messed up things are happening, but it's like at the same time it's like, ooh, nice sunny day,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because like
Go ahead.
when you typically think of your average horror movie, you think of like jump scares at night, but like
Yeah.
it's cool that they shot it.
horror movie though.
Well,
They
that's
shot-
that's
I know,
like
I
a
know.
different type of horror.
Well, yeah, that's a different
Yeah.
horror movie, but like
But yeah, I know
like
what you
how
mean.
it's in the day because you get like sort of the different like the
And the
the
thing
light
is, all
like
all
shining
day,
over
the entire
everything,
thing
and
is
then
technically in the light. It's like we were saying, it's meant to give you the sense of security because
Well,
the
yeah.
night is very alone. That's why they use that one
Exactly.
shot, that one time where they use the night, which was so good. When she walks out and
Exactly.
she's dreaming because it was her first time using the sleeping pill.
Honestly, it was a great parallel because I think what they do incredibly well in the movie, is just again like we've obviously been talking about is the colors, bro. Like they could not have chosen a better color scheme and more symbolism behind it. Like again, like you guys have been saying, it's like it's very happy and then boom, the movie turns dark. And even though it's bright outside, it's weird because what they do so well is normally when you're watching a horror movie, it's nighttime, and that adds like
Mhm.
a sense of like, okay, you're screwed. But then whereas in Midsommar, it's 90% of the shots are in the daylight, if not like 99% are in the daylight, and stuff is still going on. All the kill scenes
Exactly.
are in the light, and those are obviously probably the most disturbing parts of the movie. Then you have like every scene was shot in daylight, and they still made it incredibly disturbing, which I think is incredibly well done because you don't see a lot of horror movies or disturbing movies that are able to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
It could also could also symbolize that the people of the cult, to them it's just like normal stuff, and to them
Yeah.
it's just like
because it is for them.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
to them it's not like a horror, it's not disturbing. It's like usual stuff. And
'Cause, I mean, they literally just say that.
That's a really good connection.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because you don't think of it like that, but you're going there obviously in the American's eyes, or in the in the foreigner's eyes, but then you also have to think of it like, okay, maybe they said it like the killing, like how they jumped off the cliff, like that was done in bright daylight, which
Yeah.
makes sense. But if a normal horror movie or any kind of horror movie would have done that, they probably would have done it in the night to make it more sinister and creepy, but it's like, no, they did a great job with that and making it.
But that's why that nightmare scene was at night. Because
Yeah.
it's supposed to elicit that she's fucked up by that point.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
a goner.
It's like a psychic
Yeah.
reminder, like, okay, these people are mentally like
They're messing with her.
fucked over by this point. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, that they've mentally gotten to her. Yep.
Yeah.
Another thing I liked is there wasn't a lot of really sharp cuts. It was very natural and free flowing. Like there was a lot of moving shots, and when they did cut, it was like similar colors. It wasn't really like jarring, and I feel like that connected with like the natural aspects of the cult. It was
Yeah.
very
And like the. Yeah. Go on.
no, you can go.
Oh. And like I enjoyed like the transitions. I thought those were like pretty clean. Yeah.
They did a great job with all of that. I think they did a good job with everything in general, like making the movie very sinister, even though it's bright out. Different kinds of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they did an overall incredible job with the.
Yes. Totally.
All right, so let's get a move
Yeah.
on.
All right, so I don't really know when to say this, but I just want to like point this out. I feel like reading the description of this movie gives a lot of it away, or even just knowing that it's a horror movie, because the whole shock and surprise, I guess, of
That they're dying.
like the slowly creeping feeling that something is wrong. Like the description's like what, like 4 Americans go to a cult in Sweden, something like that.
My summer.
One other thing I was gonna say that I thought we might go into is maybe the individual ways that the people had died in the movie. If you guys want to,
Yeah.
and discuss maybe the
Sure.
art behind it. We don't have to go too in depth.
Yeah.
But-
So
Sure.
for our first very very first death is our people's doing their the Olympic dive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I forgot. I don't know those characters' names.
I
can
don't
look
even
them
think they had names.
up. Yeah, actually, they did.
They were
but
the
it was-
elders. So when Pele was talking, he's like, after 72, he does the throat neck thing, and he meant it.
He meant it.
Meant it.
They thought he was joking, but no. Yeah.
So they're just those two deaths are like the start of the madness.
Yeah.
I don't really
So the
think they
reason-
have much more to it than just
Yeah.
the start of it.
So essentially, the reason that they had done it is because when old people within the cult like are unable to support themselves or like assist in the household, they basically kill themselves. So that's the whole
Right.
point behind. That's the whole point behind the actual death. As well as that, the two basically jump off, and then what happens is they don't actually end up dying due to the fall because it wasn't high enough. So then there's two people, their names aren't aren't disclosed. They come up and then they bash their head in a few more times to make sure they're dead. So quite the
Yeah.
gruesome death to start off. Definitely caught me by guard the first time I watched it, and even
Yeah.
very, very surprising. But yeah, that was
I mean, like I knew, as soon as like I saw the clip, I'm like, oh, okay, I know. what's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
I know.
like
Yeah.
I was confused, and they also did a back shot like where they were kind of far away to show the entire scene and what was going on, which I think was a very
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Very Passion of the Christy.
yeah, very, very well filmed there.
And I feel like that packs in a lot of the philosophy of this movie, where in the Sweden thing, culture thing, they just die before they can really like become super old. Well, we like let our elders live out in nursing homes, and it's it's just really sad.
The point that Christian
Right.
movie was talking about.
And
He's like they
yeah.
probably think us putting elderly people
Right.
into these nursing homes is like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that.
Yeah.
get
I thought
where
that
he's
brought
coming
up a good point there. Yeah.
Like you gotta
And it just,
respect
like,
different
lets
cultures
them
committing suicide. You know?
Connect with nature and all that, and it was just that also really just showed the point of this movie. It was-
Well,
It just
actually,
like showed how isolated their culture was because I
Right.
mean we
Yeah.
live in a very
'Cause no one
mainstream
wants to
world.
join it.
yeah.
No,
Well, the fir-
no.
they don't
first-
let
the first
people
death-
join a lot.
The first deaths
Yeah.
technically
Yeah,
were
no, that was
the first deaths technically were Terry, and the parents.
Well, yeah.
If you were to say it from like before the call, if you were to put it
Mhm.
that way. So yeah, actually so Danny's sister, Carrie, kills herself through carbon monoxide. I don't think there's much background information though on why they did it.
Her
But
sister's
they-
insane. She's bipolar.
She was
Yeah,
bipolar,
But then
yeah.
again, those
Yep.
aren't bipolar symptoms. Literally,
Yeah.
bipolar is either manic or depressed. People have
Yeah, but
this.
why
People have
why
this.
did the parents?
No. She did it to the parents.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was carbon monoxide.
Yeah, I feel
Wait,
like
so
that's
how
what-
did she
I
get hooked up
think.
to them though when they were in their sleep or
So,
something?
Yeah, she did it when they were
Yeah.
because she just brought the pipes upstairs. But where do you get carbon monoxide? No one sells carbon
Yeah,
monoxide.
Right.
No,
Right, that's what-
it's from the
yeah.
gas. It's from the gas when you run your car. That's why they say
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
open your
that's why
garage
they went to
door
the
before you
garage
start
and
your
turned
car.
off the car. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, she
All right.
might have ran it from the car actually.
No, that's
Yeah.
why. That's why the fireman went to the car to
But
turn
then
it
why-
off.
Exactly.
Yeah, also, why did she kill the parents? Was there anything on that?
No,
Like, did she have a grudge against them?
Here,
or
let's
did
look
she-
it up. Let's look it up
she's
right
insane.
No, she was just
Yeah, look it up.
yeah. I don't know. She was
Yeah,
just like
I'm gonna be put on a watch list after all the shit I've looked up so far. So that's
right,
good.
right.
She
FBI.
died
I mean-
awake. Okay, she died awake, aware, and in pain while she needed
how
to
to
die for Pelly
capture
to.
carbon monoxide.
And while she needed to die for Pelly to coerce Danny into his culture, it was inferred that Terry's constant threat of her own life was disrespectful to Pelly, whose culture values life. So pretty much, Terry was also part of this death cult, or
Huh.
some way connected to it, or maybe maybe Pele is like connected to some sort of spirit that guided Terry into doing it, or maybe that cult is connected and they needed Danny, so they made Terry do these things so Danny would become more.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that
but
explains kind
here's
of,
where
like, Danny's
here-
visions.
here's
Ish.
where you kind of like lose me with this movie. Like, there's so
whole
much
thing,
that
like how did that
there's
even
so
happen?
much you have to infer. Like, if they just added stuff like that, it could have like sent this movie so far.
The
Yeah.
spaghetti
But
monster.
there's just not a lot of substance
There's
there.
not a lot of there's not a lot of background.
Yeah,
Like,
this is also a really interesting movie to watch
Yes,
at
as you
like
said.
really late
Very
at
nice.
night.
It is an interesting movie.
No,
I agree.
no. To watch, especially when you watch it really late at night, then it's even more weird.
Oh yeah, I was
And more,
kind
like,
of the only one
trippy.
upstairs, and like I walked out, and like everything's like the only lights that were on were in my family room, and like everyone else was pitch black, and I had my piano lamp on too, because I was playing a little
Yeah.
bit, and I was like, I can't see like outside because it's like obviously my pupils are fixated onto the light of the
Game.
piano lamp, You're right. So it's like I can't. All I can see is the other neighbor's house because they have lights on, but I can't see in between. I'm like, is someone gonna like snatch me?
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
agree.
that's kind of the feeling you get. It's like,
Yeah, it's a very creepy.
yeah, it's really interesting to watch later. It's a different experience than if you were to watch it during the day.
I think the next kill after this, but I think that obviously every horror movie is scarier at night because it's more eerie, but I think watching it at night gives it a different sense of eeriness. Like you can't watch it in the day and understand things and be creeped out as much as if you were to watch it at night because you're so taken
Definitely.
aback by it. And then boom, on top of that, it's nighttime. Good luck.
Exactly.
Okay. The next kill, is it okay if I get on to the next one?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next
Mhm.
one was Mark, who urinated on an ancestral tree, which is just a little bit of background.
Legendary
he-
move.
Yeah, and so
Oh yeah.
he basically made all like the entire commune very mad. So he was lured away during dinner by I think Inga or somebody else. I
One
think
of the
Inga.
sisters, and he
Yeah.
got absolutely bamboozled. He was like, "Ooh, I'm about to have sex," and nope, you're about to get fucking skinned.
Yeah. So that basically leads into the next portion, which was Josh who snuck into the temple to take the photograph of the commune.
So
like the
what
ruin-
was okay? Maybe what was happened was he was coerced into taking the picture. Not he was just being a dumbass and did it. I feel like then now he's coerced.
Yep, and who would have done that? Because he's the only person who did the thesis, aside from who else was, but yeah.
Maybe the guy. Maybe
Christian like was wanting to write part of it
Okay,
too.
no, but listen to this. Maybe the drug, the hallucinatory
Yeah.
stuff made him more like after they used it for a few times, it made him more agreeable. Or maybe they put something in their drinks to make them more agreeable.
Yeah, a little
Exactly.
Swedish roofie. But yeah, so yeah, he obviously sneaks into the temple and takes the photograph, which is a dumbass move, by the way. Don't ever do that if you're in a cult.
Yeah.
Which
Don't
an
start
elder,
taking
like,
pictures.
an elder obviously previously forbidden him from doing, which we talked about earlier. So then he turns around like quickly, I believe, and he sees a man like wearing Mark's clothes, and
He's
his
like,
face.
ooh, is that Mark?
so
And then,
basically
nope.
Mark was the second death in the movie, or technically the third if you want to be specific. And he got skinned, basically his face, everything got skinned after he died.
Very
So
young.
and I believe it was the second brother from Pele. I don't know his name, but he was the one wearing it, and he
It's
he was
like
wearing
it's something with a U.
Yeah, but-
Is it like Ingomar or was it?
No.
It's
Was it that guy?
So
Oh,
look it up. But
both.
so, yeah,
oh, yeah.
so he skinned his face and he basically the second brother hit him over the head with a hammer, and then
And it
his
went
body.
into his brain. Very yummy.
Yeah, very very good scene by the way. Like they
Very
did the
tasty.
graphics very well on the head hit. Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
the next death. Yeah, that was quite the interesting death. But yeah, that was the next death.
And then we have
And
our
then-
last ones.
Yeah, our
Evil
last ones
Man.
are. It all happens very quickly. And some of them you're hinted towards. You don't actually see it. Josh's leg was planted into a flower bed, and then I do
That's
believe,
funny.
yeah.
Sorry, that was
Yeah.
actually that made me like giggle. I know it shouldn't, but
It was, yeah.
And Christian was like drugged and coerced. This isn't a death, but he was drugged and was basically forced into a sex ritual, which was designed to like basically impregnate. I don't know the girl's name. I think
Maya. Okay, honestly,
Maya-
she was
Yeah.
kind of hot. Not gonna lie, you can't deny me on that one. She's pretty cute.
Wait, who's this?
He
The
did that.
redhead. The redhead.
Yeah.
She was one of the female members. And yeah, she was basically Christian was designated to impregnate her, and then you basically have
Yeah,
sees that starts moaning. They coerce her.
gotta keep.
Then again, you see Josh's leg. His is planted in the flower bed, and then my favorite and I think the most creative death into the entire thing was Simone's body or Simon's body.
Simon.
was her-
It's not Simone. That's Simone's a
What
girl's
about
name.
Bear Boy?
Simone's different,
We'll say that at the end, dude. Bear Boy's at the end.
Yeah.
That's the final sacrifice.
Yeah, I know, but he was saying it's the most creative. I would say Bear Boy is.
Bear Boy.
Mm,
Bear Boy.
that's second most.
Simon's body
Alright.
or Blood Eagle. Don't
Dude,
look
he
it
got
up.
American
Wait, oh, the
eyes.
tree one? The tree one? I like the tree one. That's my favorite.
What
I changed
tree
my
one?
mind.
That was like
Wait,
very.
whoa, which is the tree one?
In the barn, like there was like
Yeah.
5 or 6 people, or there was
A tree.
Yeah,
a
like that
couple
was,
people in the barn.
I don't know, something about that just like vibes with me.
So basically, this movie is very sporadic in the sense where it's like towards the end of the movie, all the deaths happen. Majority of them.
Hmm.
Towards
Everything
the
happens
beginning-
in the last half hour, like crazy wise.
So
This one
basically,
just goes into madness.
Yeah. So basically, Simon's body was turned into a blood eagle, which is basically like you're put on your back and then your skin is pulled onto. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look it up on your own.
You can look at your
You got the
NSFW
lungs.
Reddits or service.
Yeah.
Nice.
Rated M for mature there. So yeah,
Fortnite moment.
and then I forgot who discovered his body. Was it Christian?
Yeah, Christian walked in
Yeah.
after he ran away from the sex ritual, after he realized what he did. He like impregnated the girl, and then he was like, fuck.
He was scared shitless by the situation because he slowly looked up and saw Simon hanging from the roof. And then I think
he got drugged. He got blown. He got powdered. He got roofied.
What?
It might have just been
Some
sand.
sort of drugs.
No, he blew some sort of drug because you could see he was like, oh, whoa, what happened?
Oh, he might have just been like, get this sand out of my eyes. I can't see it.
I don't like sand.
I don't like sand.
Yeah.
That's what he should have said in that moment. He should have
He's
said,
like,
I don't like
it's
sand.
coarse and rough and it's irritating and it gets
It's
everywhere.
everywhere.
Well, yeah, that was basically all the deaths. So that kind of wraps up all the
Yeah.
parts of the movie.
Well, and the bear boy, and
yeah.
like the people in the barn.
Bear boy.
Okay. I mean, we can go into that.
Yeah. Let's talk about Bear Boy.
What?
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, you guys, somebody stir me off. I'm talking too much.
Here, Adam, you describe that.
Wait, whoa, what are we talking? Oh, Bear Boy? Yeah,
Alright,
go
so
Yeah.
they got the bear and insert the boy.
Good job.
But yeah, that was.
And now you've created Bear Boy.
Yeah, but that was very creepy. Oh, also
Yeah,
something
That
funny.
was creepy.
Something funny. I don't remember which scene it was, but it was on one of the wider shots of the yellow house. You could see one of the camera dolly trucks. I noticed that while watching it. I was like, that's funny. They left one of the dolly trucks
really?
for the camera.
Oh, that's funny.
Don't they stuff bodies with hay, or is that a different movie?
I think you're thinking
I don't know.
of. I think you're
Like,
thinking
when
of
they were-
the Scarecrow Stuffer Man movie.
No, I'm not. I mean, they might have, because when they were placing the bodies in the barn, they looked
Yeah.
Those
really
looked-
light.
Yeah, they looked really light.
Yeah, like they were just like effortlessly placing them.
Let
Yeah.
the bodies hit the floor.
Hold on, no. I think the bodies were stuffed with hay though. I'm
Yeah.
not because I think I remember a scene where when they were transporting the bodies, they had like hay coming out of their eyes. I think I remember that. So yeah, they might have stuffed all the dead bodies with hay to make them lighter or for some ritual shit, which I believe was towards the end of the movie. So yeah, I think that was the thing. And then basically Christian, I think it was Christian, right?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a bear.
Basically got stuffed into a bear for the final ritual, which which is a great way to end off.
I don't get why did they kill him after he impregnated the girl though? What was the point of that?
Because they said
sacrifice.
He
Yeah,
was-
they're just doing the
Yeah, they just felt
Yeah.
like they just felt like
Doesn't the
stuffing
baby
up.
need a
Because
father?
sacrifice.
well,
that's
no,
what-
the whole
that's what-
community takes care of the child.
That's what
Yeah.
tradition is.
They stuffed him with
guess.
Paddington the bear. So yeah.
Well, yeah, because they said he did something wicked, and then now he deserves to die for it.
Why did
In
they?
a,
But the one thing that I'm confused on is why did they use Christian? Why didn't they just like use?
Because the relationship.
Because she
Because-
chose them.
inbreds.
Danny chose them.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
what was the? No, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, moving on.
Yep.
So I think that takes us. Yes, that does take us to symbolism and themes. Probably going to
Ooh,
be the
nice.
biggest question.
Yeah.
Probably.
Just
Like I know there was a lot of symbolism with like the runes and like the way that like all the bodies were presented, but like I don't know any of it off the top of my head. So can someone like pull up a sheet and read them off?
Oh, okay. Well, something that was very significant for symbols, I think, was the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does the bear mean in like Swedish culture or like whatever it might have been?
I don't know.
Whatever.
The bear's, but like taking it at face value, the bear is
tasty
more to
food.
signify. No, it's more to signify that I don't know, something powerful can become maybe weak in a way. I'm not sure. Let's look it up.
I mean, I feel like the bear at the beginning, it was foreshadowing towards the end of the movie. It's like, oh, what's that bear doing there? And then they just like,
Yeah, but they didn't do it
the
well.
guy literally was like,
They just showed
yeah.
it once. I feel like it should have been like in the
Also, the
background.
problem is
in a lot of
all
scenes or
all
just
the symbols from like
something.
the paintings and stuff like you No, they don't expect you to understand that, but the problem is to understand it, you have to understand it, which is the issue.
Well, they showed the little like paintings of like all the weird stuff going on with like the pubic hairs and then like all the
No,
weird
it's
like
because she likes him. That's what it's
Yeah.
like it's a cute and quirky.
Yeah.
Let me send you my pubic hairs.
Yeah.
That was a yeah.
Dude,
that
I
was-
smoke
Those-
pubic hairs. I don't know what you're talking about.
basically, Misha, this movie is very weird. Like, if you don't like
yes.
movies,
Oh
I don't,
yeah.
movie was just even a little much for me because it's like it was so random. It was so random. And the thing is, you really have to dive deeper into the movie as a whole to understand the symbolism.
Mhm.
It's very hard to come up with any kind of specific symbols in the movie. I would say we already went over one primary one, which was how it was daylight the entire time. So I think one of the symbols and or themes was that you're kind of looking at it from both point of views, where it's like, okay, well, this is a cult. This is an everyday thing for him. It's not dark. It's not sinister. So maybe, possibly,
Exactly.
this is all theoretical.
Maybe it's
Maybe-
good what's happening.
Yeah, maybe for them at least. Maybe they made it a very light, ordained movie for the purpose of this is what happens every day for these people.
To
So maybe
gain
No, it was
their
90
like
years. It was 90.
Swedish people's point of view. Yeah.
you said it's 9 years?
It's every 90 years.
90.
Yeah.
Wait, so they
Because
do.
it's like a big 9-day long festival.
Wait, so do they do
It's 90 years. Every 90 years.
they do the sacrifice every 90 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the big 9 people sacrifice, I think, is every 90 years.
So then,
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
now that brings up, well, what do they do with the old
Yeah.
people? I think they just let them
Well,
die.
I
and
bet
then
they
bury
still
them.
do it. I bet they still do something
Also,
like that, but it's
I
not
really
like the
enjoyed.
whole
You
9-day
know
thing.
how the 2 old people died at the beginning when they did their free fall. I really like how they burned them Star Wars style. It really
It was
interesting.
It was bringing me
Yeah.
Star Wars,
Like,
Darth Vader
It
flashbacks.
looked like a grill, though. I thought they were gonna eat them.
actually, one thing I was gonna say was I think that they just put the elders like into the ritual, you know, with like hay. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't get what you're trying to bring up. I mean, like, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you.
They might have, you know how they might have stuffed them with hay. You know how they stuffed them with hay, like how we were talking. I think maybe they took the elders and they stuffed them with hay, like possibly. I think that could have been a plausible situation, or what they could have done with the elders, because they're not just gonna leave the elders there to rot. I don't think. But yeah, maybe there's some
Mhm.
parallel there.
I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, that's a I don't know. It was a weird connection to me. But yeah, I think what they did was I think they just
Oh my god! Whoa. Sorry, I just thought of something real big. See,
What?
we know how
Ooh.
Terry is bipolar, right? So manic and manic depression sort of thing. What about these Swedish people when they're all happy and stuff, and then after something awful happens, they start going into that screaming, like, awful, agonizing moan cry?
I feel like that's like ceremonious stuff.
No, it
though.
isn't, dude. It's such a parallel. You cannot deny that wasn't there just to be.
No.
Yeah.
It's super
like,
parallel.
The whole end scene, I feel like, was just because the whole end scene. I keep repeating myself. I apologize. It's getting late, but I think it's because you think about the 2 main characters, which were Danny and Christian, and I think one of the directors actually, I think he was inspired by romantic films, so I think the whole ending portion was like based off the separation of Danny and Christian, and I think there was
That was the
a
whole
lot
movie, though. It was.
Yeah, but like we also we never
So-
see them like actually happy together. Like
Exactly, because it's
it
like,
doesn't
oh,
establish
this
that at all.
vacation could like revitalize their relationship,
Right.
but it ends up going.
Like maybe even
to-
if it was just like a small flashback scene, that would have been better.
Or talked
Yeah.
about it. That would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's be a lot of symbolism within a lot of different parts. Like, for instance, the relationship is obviously a big one. Then in the deaths, there could even be symbolism in the sense like it's maybe I don't know, maybe there's symbolism behind some of the things that happen. Like, these deaths aren't normal deaths. These are very creative, very weird, cultish deaths. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of.
I mean,
think
because
about-
they
Very
have
hard-
to have to have them, each of them be unique from each other and from like normal deaths too. 'Cause
And,
this is obviously a cult, like you were saying.
Oh Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. They have to make them cultish deaths. They're not gonna be like normal slasher deaths. You know, that you'd see.
No,
in
they're
any
not
other
gonna
horror.
just like
Yeah.
yoink them and knife them in the back. No, they're gonna rip your skin off and dance around in you and take the L over your grave or your lifeless corpse.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very interesting way to put the movie, but yeah,
But
it's very
Uh,
hard to do symbolism. This movie is very deep, so you have to understand that
Exactly. Yeah.
with the spot. I mean, the only symbolism I can think of personally that I've already said is just the difference between how it's laid out, and that for the cult is a normal thing. That's the only thing I can really think of personally.
I think that was my point, but yeah, you can take,
Well, I'm adding
yeah.
off of it. You made that.
Yeah,
you can-
obviously. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
good.
But going back to Christian and Danny's relationship, I feel like that's a perfect example of show not tell, where
Mhm.
how they had it was basically all of Christian's friends being like, "She's a bitch, dump her," and then Danny talking to that one friend of hers on the phone. I don't remember what was in that scene.
Not important, but
They were just talking to others about their relationship, but they didn't show it at all.
and they weren't talking to each other, which is the issue.
Right.
Like in general for relationships, they were venting to other people, not trying to help each other.
Yeah, like their only interactions that we see is basically one argument at the beginning and like a few smaller conversations throughout. Like they're just
But it's to show
They're
that
just
they're
mad at each
separating.
other the whole
That's the
time.
point. It's to show that they're separating.
Yeah, because they're separating. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Mhm.
relationship is very weird. Like, I don't know. She had a very emotionally distant relationship with him. If you know what I'm saying? Like, the
Mhm.
relationship was never very close in the movie. So I think it. I don't know. I think it was a very weird, a weird relationship. But I think it added to the movie, and it
So, I
kind
mean,
of knew what it is.
yeah, because she kind of sums it up really at the start of the movie. It's like, oh, I keep telling whatever his name, what's his name again?
I don't know who his
Christian.
is.
It's like he keeps sharing Danny keeps sharing a bunch of stuff with Christian, and he's
Christian.
not opening him back up to her. You know what I mean?
No.
They're
Yeah,
not
and-
really communicating well with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the whole point of what we've
Exactly,
been going
yeah.
on.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, very very sinister movie. But yeah, I get what you guys are saying.
All right.
Yeah.
But I mean, just one more thought on symbolism. And again, I don't know any of these off the top of my head, but they were each given a rune at the beginning when they were sort of introduced into this society, and those all mean something. They kind of foreshadow what's going to happen to the characters.
Something
I know Danny's was some sort of journey or something, and she did go on a journey. She kind of found, she became satisfied with her situation and overcame her grief and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And also just the way the bodies were prepared at the end was the symbolism for each of the characters, the
Epic meme.
I was
How was
actually gonna
it?
say though, go ahead, Adam. Sorry about that.
I don't remember his name. It's something with an M. It's Mark or something.
Yep.
Yeah, he had the jester's hat, and
Yeah.
that was just
He's a
earlier,
clown.
they were playing a game called Skin the Fool or something.
Yep.
And he was
Yeah.
kind of joking around the whole time.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, I think that the runes can be a representation as to this is their home now. You know what I mean? I feel like the runes maybe in the cult could be a representation as to this is your forever.
They're stuck
They aren't
because the
part of
moment
the
they
cult,
enter,
though.
they're
They're like a
stuck.
welcome
They
gift.
can't get out.
Yeah.
Maybe the runes are a token or a symbolistic. It's okay, I'm giving you this rune because this is your home now. And obviously it could be seen as a token of
It's
appreciation.
their initiation,
No,
gift.
they're not part of
Okay.
the cult though. They're sacrifices.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Maybe that the rune represents the sacrifice in a sense where it's okay, you're staying here forever because you're dying here. You know what I mean? It's a very far.
Isn't that kind of what it is though?
I think it's just
No,
meant to show.
A token of appreciation, at least to what they see originally. They're not gonna think, okay, we're dying here. This is what this means. I'm saying, I don't know. I think that could be that. Maybe that's a piece of symbolism. Who knows? I think that.
I think it's just meant to show their individuality.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility.
because like each of the
Makes sense.
runes means it means something to the individual character.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was
Right.
worried, I'm not gonna lie, but you know, it's plausible. It's hard to come up with symbolism. You have to really detox this movie in order to kind of figure out your own separate pieces.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean,
and, like,
kind of what I
there's-
said.
Even a simple Google search, sorry to interrupt, it bring you up much, you know? It's just kind of, so yeah.
Yeah, like what I said earlier, like this movie definitely leaves a lot up to your interpretation.
that's the
Like we
point
all
of it,
interpret this
though.
different.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
right, and that's a
Movie that's supposed
that's
to
a very Kubrick-esque sort of thing.
be, yeah.
Where like he just wants you to like feel something, and when people ask him like, "Oh, hey, what does this movie mean?" He's like, "Nope, it means something different to everyone.
Figure it out for
and
yourself.
It's
Yeah.
how you interpret it."
Mhm.
Right.
It's the movie's
Right.
not supposed to be easily like thought of, or like, you know, symbolism in any movie is very difficult to find, especially Midsummer, because Midsummer is such a sophisticated.
Symbolism is very subjective. There
Yeah,
is,
it's-
unless
it's
it's that specific movie, unless it's maybe based on something, it usually is very free flowing and subjective.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. All right. So has everyone said their sayings for this one?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's just, again, sorry to add on here, but there's not much you can really say about symbolism. It's a very it's a very complicated movie to come up with stuff like such as that. So. But yeah. One other thing I was gonna add, you see throughout the movie slowly how like traumatized the characters get by what's occurring. Like they don't throw it right up, but you can
Except
just see,
Christian. until
Yeah, well-
until he gets fucked without his permission.
I mean, it's like you see how like I don't know. They don't show it. It's so weird how the characters react to the situations, because it's like I don't know. They don't seem too traumatized, but they're very traumatized. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like I don't know
they
how to put it.
say like, it's like, dude, how were you like not like that affected by that? It's like, yeah, I am. I'm just like not like saying
Not
it.
knowing
Like
it.
that's
Yeah,
at the beginning, but then they're like, oh my gosh, this is like really, really, really messed up, instead of just being like really messed up.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. All right, yeah, that makes sense. Yep, yeah, that's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yeah.
All right.
Adam, want to move us on?
Yep.
Yeah, so now like let's take a minute to talk about the studio A24, like what movies of theirs have you seen and all that.
I'd say a good handful of their movies. I feel like a
Yeah.
good handful of their movies are absolute shit, and then a good handful are
Yes, yes.
absolute
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
They have this weird spectrum. A24
Right.
is a spectrum. Great.
Yeah.
so I've seen
normal, and shit.
three. Yeah, I've seen
Spring Breaker
three.
is shit.
Oh no,
Yeah,
that one's good because it has Selena Gomez in it.
Uh,
I've seen 3 movies from A24. I saw Hereditary, of course, Midsommar, and then I saw Mid 90s. If you guys don't know what Mid 90s is, it's like a skateboarder movie, but it's really well done, really interesting movie. Yeah, definitely watch that though.
yeah. So
And that was a very, very good,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
was-
I'll go down the list here. I've seen The Bling Ring, which is like kind of trash. Under the Skin, which is just great. It's great. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Ex Machina, awesome.
Machina.
Whatever the fuck. I don't know. Fine. the Witch. What else? Moonlight.
You saw Moonlight?
Yeah.
What was
Ghost
that about?
Story. It's about like a gay guy.
Nice.
Lady Bird.
Yep.
Hereditary.
Yep.
The
Death of Dick Long.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Did you
I've
get
seen,
uncomfortable when the penises were out?
Yeah.
yeah, I saw The Lighthouse
Whoa.
too.
Vans was not packing.
Man's has seen every A24 movie to ever be produced. Jesus, bro. Like,
He's seen 24 of the A24 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
seriously.
Are they gonna be like Tarantino and stop after they make 24?
Yeah.
That'd be
I mean, they've
funny.
made more than
That'd be
24.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. So, what are your
Hmm.
guys' thoughts on A24 as a whole? Like, if you were to think of
Not
specific
good.
movies, no, you don't like them as a production company.
I mean,
They
they've
have
made
too many
some
bad
good
movies.
stuff, but
Yeah.
they have
it's
like
a real
couple of
mixed
gems.
Yeah.
and I think they're very pretentious.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, look at me, I'm artistic, but like they're not really that artistic. They're just trying to be.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like what you mean by like artistic is like the cool shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The only thing that's really
Because I mean, they're visually like really good movies.
right,
Oh,
It's
right.
just they
No
kind of they
Yeah.
either get it right with the plot or else like they don't, and then
Mhm.
it's
Yeah. Well, it's actually quite funny
Yeah.
because think of. Sorry, go ahead, Luke.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like I've said before, like visuals on this movie, like I really enjoyed them. I think this movie could have been really good. It's just
It was
plot
really good
for
though.
I think
me.
it was really good. I'm like really appreciating this movie. Like the more we talk about it, the more I
You know
like,
what?
really
You know
enjoy
what?
this
Here,
movie.
I'm gonna
Very
sum.
Hold on, Adam.
Yeah.
It's very hard, like upfront, to appreciate the movie because there's so much going on and there's so much
Exactly.
to diagnose. But and this with like all
I
A24
mean,
movies. Hereditary found it way more disturbing than this movie. Are you kidding me? If you guys watch Midsummer and you're disturbed, don't watch Hereditary. But if you watch Midsummer and you're up for more of a challenge, watch Hereditary. It's like it's a little bit. Those are like
more
the
of a challenge.
I think
And
Hereditary-
watch Under the Skin too.
Yeah. Well, actually, a little bit of a foreshadow. Possibly we could watch Hereditary in the future. Luke probably isn't.
Ooh, maybe.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so
Round two.
but yeah, I think the thing with A24 Productions is they're very artistic in the fact that they like there to be a lot of symbolism and a lot of diagnosis needs to be made to be able to understand the movies that they produce. And I think that's the thing that makes it hard for some people to understand is A24 is a very specific production company in the sense that they like their movies very complicated. And I respect that because it's you think about a lot of horror movies or just movies in general, really any genre, and you
Yeah.
think of like not a lot of people obviously put work into movies, obviously, no shit,
Mhm.
to get them out on box office and stuff like that. But A24 really takes it to the next step, and a lot of other movie, productions. But A24 stands out to me because a lot of their movies are a little bit expensive, but have a lot of symbolism and a lot of sophistication behind it, and I respect that. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Agreed,
my thought.
agreed.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think especially with the horror genre, like
Yep.
in general, horror fans just have such low standards that
No doubt.
there's
They'll-
so
they'll
much
take
bullshit
anything.
horror. Like it's really just like a once a year sort of thing where like a good horror movie like this comes out.
Mhm.
Like, I mean,
And then
in my opinion,
because people are so caught up with how shit horror is, and they'll
Yeah,
just label
yeah.
horror
Yeah.
as bad.
right?
Because this is more like a disturbing kind of
Right.
horror.
And
It's not like
those are
jump
my favorite. Those
scary.
are my favorite kind of horror movies. I absolutely fucking
Yeah.
hate jumps. It's not because I'm scared of it. It's just because
Yeah.
it's annoying and it's like
Right.
not original.
Mhm.
Right. Jump scares are
Exactly.
just it's not scary. It's like
It's repetitive.
it's so cheap.
I'm sure,
It's
You
I'm
so
know
sure-
what's
cheap.
gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm sure
Yeah.
you guys have all seen like Conjuring. Like I respect
Yeah.
Conjuring. It's scary and they make it very scary and thrilling, but it's like a lot of it's just jump scares and that's
Well,
what
no-
makes it scary. And they overuse like they make the jump scares super loud and shit. It's like it's just kind of annoying and repetitive.
It's like loud equals funny, but loud
I mean,
equals
honestly,
scary.
Yeah.
I thought The Conjuring was like pretty good compared to most horror movies. Like there was only one big jump scare if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no
like,
doubt at all.
It was decent.
The entire trilogy and like extensive
Trilogy.
no, not trilogy. My bad. It was just the entire series of The Conjuring because you have
Yeah.
Annabelle and you have the Nun. All those connections are very good. Back to Midsummer though. Basically, what I'm saying is like, you have to think about shitty horror compared to good horror, and it's like
Right.
there's a in between the two, and then there's good horror and bad horror. I think bad horror is like any of the like slasher movies, because those get boring.
Definitely.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, really good movie, but super dumb and repetitive. Like literally people getting slaughtered. You know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
there's, like medium movies, I'd say, like The Conjuring, and then all that stuff. And then the movies I really like Midsommar and Hereditary, are very complicated movies and very artistic and well put together movies. Same with Conjuring, but yeah, that's my thought process on that. So yeah,
Yeah, like if you're making a horror movie, you can get away with pretty much anything. Like
oh my
there's like,
goodness.
there's like so many like sequels too. Like it
Oh,
just at some point you should just stop.
Yeah, you can make a horror movie and make 30 sequels, and then
Right,
it's like
right.
Friday the 13th. I don't even know how many movies are like 30.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Or
Friday the 13th was
Overdone.
basically just a bunch of people saying, "Hey, Halloween was good. People like that. So let's get like 5 people who really aren't good actors, but they're just 5 people and go into a forest and shoot this in like a week."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
And then they made 13 sequels.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny.
Speed running the film
Yeah,
business, you know?
So many horror
Yeah.
movies that people are like, wow, it's so iconic, so memorable. It's just not good.
It's a classic. You know, you can't disregard Friday the 13th and Halloween. Halloween's done well though. I
Yeah,
will.
I like the first
classic
Halloween
movies,
movie is genuinely a good movie.
Yeah.
But like that series as well, there's like at least 10 of them. And really the
Kinda
first
like
two
Star
are
Wars.
a
It gets
self-contained
progressively
story.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, like Friday the 13th movies were the first and maybe the second.
And then once it gets into 21st century, like or like late thousands 21st century,
Yeah.
and like
Found footage wave.
Gee,
Well,
it's
anyway.
awful.
How many paranormal activity movies can we make?
Yeah.
13 and a half.
About Midsommar though is there's only going to be 90% sure there's only going to be one movie, and that's what I like about
Yeah.
A24 Productions. There's probably going to be one movie out of the movies that they make because the movies that they make are so complicated and sophisticated. You can watch it for days if you really want to because there's so much symbolism behind it. That's what I respect about them.
I mean, I agree with you there, but I feel like that argument you are making can be applied to so many other things that are even better. I feel like A24 is like a 13-year-old girl's interpretation of like being artistic, right?
No, 100% agree. No, I agree with you.
Joshua
No.
Hunt.
But
Yeah, exactly. exactly.
I'm saying, like, you don't think
Yeah.
you don't think of many other production companies that make horror movies or thriller movies or disturbing movies, whatever you want to say, that really make a movie very
Definitely.
no, like A24 just stands out to me with that because the two movies that they made that are disturbing and horror, horror genre, were very like symbolic. Like Hereditary, for instance, like it was very symbolic in the sense like, okay, well, there's a huge history behind the house, or I think it was the house or the family that they were with that had a curse on them. Boom, symbolism behind that. It can go even deeper, like what were the specific, like who was the specific evil entity that was causing the death that they were and the curse on the family. I think it was like the great grandpa, whatever it was, so. And then you think about Midsommar. There was symbolism behind the cult and stuff like that. So yeah, again, A24, great with symbolism, great with depth amongst their movies. Not very boring, not very plain movies, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think we should move on to our final rating.
All right,
Okay.
Adam,
Yeah.
explain
Alright.
it up.
Yeah, so
Does anybody have any like specific questions about the movie that maybe we could quickly try and answer? Anything at all? Like anything you were confused on? Anything? Nothing?
I was confused on why I
Nope.
couldn't hook up with the redhead girl, to be honest.
Oh man, dude, she's on MySpace if you want to check her out.
Who the hell uses MySpace?
Yeah.
All right, so Adam, why don't you explain to Sai how we do our ratings, and we'll all give one.
all right,
Yeah.
so 0 to 10, 10 being the best.
Mhm.
And you can do 0.5s if you
Yep.
so choose.
Explain why.
Yeah,
Huh?
just a little bit of an
Yeah,
explanation,
yeah.
nothing too in depth. though.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So, Sai, start us off.
Oh, all right.
Oh, and keep
okay,
in mind, 10 is achievable. So like I have said 10 for
Right.
Interstellar. And keep
I
in mind,
said-
Same.
6 is not bad. For us, 6 isn't bad. Bad is
Yeah,
like
I
under
think
Five is middle of the
5
road.
is
5 is
average.
average.
Right.
Mhm.
Average one is like absolute horse shit, and then 10
Yeah.
is
So like
Yeah.
negative 3 million is what I gave the
Right.
sequel trilogy for Star
Sequels.
Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave sequel 0.
All right, I'm gonna give Midsommar an 8.5. Now, my
Alright.
reason is I think, although it's a very underrated movie in my opinion, because you look at Midsommar and it's very boring, it feels like. But once you learn the symbolism behind it, and obviously we've had our talk this entire time, and learning more about the movie and different people's opinions on it allows me to better understand the movie to the extent that I do. You think about Midsommar as like a movie where it's like, okay, this is super boring. It's just a cult who kills people, But you think more deeply into it and what led them there and the specific people that put them in the situations that they did, and the movie gets interesting in my opinion. So you think about character development, all that, which there wasn't too much of, and a lot of people will argue specifically that there wasn't much character. And yeah, I don't know. I think the movie was done really well. I think the production was very well. I think it just was overall a very good movie. And if you do end up watching one of A24's movies, make sure you do a little bit of background research on the movies because I'm sure there's some depth to it that you'll be able to better understand.
After you watch the movie, though.
Yeah, after you watch the movie, of course.
Yeah.
I'll help you better understand the movie and make it more interesting for you. Because
Mhm.
again, I will end after this. you look at Midsummer, you watch it for the first time, boring. But then, and you're taken aback though for the first time you watch it for sure, no doubt. At
Oh
least-
yeah.
So I
But then-
hate to be a butt, but I said quick explanation.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, do a little bit of research after the movie, and you'll really learn to enjoy it.
You'll love
Alright.
the movie. All right, Nick, what did you
Mhm.
think?
Yeah, I kind of had the same kind of experience as you. Like, I wasn't fully grasping the whole movie up until now. So I'd say I'm gonna give this 7.5 because I don't think it was rated. I don't think I want to rate it as high as you do, Sai, because I don't understand it as much. But I think this talk like helps me understand it more. Great
Yeah.
cinematography. It's a good plot to build off of, but like it's developing some kind of complex ideas that might be hard to grasp for like the general
Yeah.
audience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like even beyond our conversations today, there's so much more
Exactly.
to unpack.
We're like barely touching the surface and
Yeah.
we're like
There's so much
hours
more to
into an episode.
like obviously sorry to interrupt, like we obviously like got off track with different movies and stuff, but it's like that kind of links to Midsummer because you can compare the two, and that's
Yeah.
Midsummer's a very deep movie to say the least. Sorry,
Mhm.
All right, Luke, what
Yeah.
did you think?
I'd say I'd give this movie a respectable 3.5 out of 10.
Fucking Luke, I swear to God.
What? That's not like terrible. That's
No,
bad,
yeah,
but
it's
it's not like.
Luke,
It's
we know
medium
you hate
dislike.
Luke. We know you hate it because you don't like this genre movie. Take it at face value. What are you giving this movie?
Well,
Face
no,
value.
Just let
What do
Luke
you
rate it
mean?
how he wants to rate
Okay,
it.
rate how
I'm
you
giving
want.
my own opinion.
It's his
like,
opinion.
No,
It's
no,
his
no, no,
opinion.
no, 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 no. This is 2021
We don't
America.
do
You don't get an
censorship
opinion.
here, okay?
We're communist.
Yeah,
genre.
I feel like I'm kind of being like censored here.
Yeah,
you, though?
yeah.
Nick, you're
You're not
getting
being you're not being censored.
Yeah.
Okay,
Guys.
that's good to
Okay,
know.
but why
Um,
do you give it a 3.5 out of 10?
I think I've kind of said that
Okay,
throughout this
nice.
whole review. It's like 1 a.m. and I
That's
can't
true.
think
Thank you,
anymore.
Mr.
But
Biden.
one thing,
It is.
one thing to say is that there might be an alternate universe where I would enjoy this movie, but I
We're not
just
in that
don't
universe.
I just don't like these movies. It's not really the fault of the makers of this movie. It's just like
Well, Luke, then do better next time, okay?
Yeah.
what?
All right, Adam, what would you give this
Okay.
movie?
Yeah, what about?
I respect your opinion. Everyone has their own opinion on these kind of movies, and it's like these movies are very like hit or miss. So yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you, Emily. Adam, what is your rating?
Okay, so I feel like this movie, like it had the base of something like really great, but they could have like gone so much farther and done so much more with it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like good symbolism and stuff, but it's just, I mean, it is memorable, but it's just not gonna like be, one of my favorite movies. I'm not gonna like, tell everyone to watch it and praise it a lot. And keep in mind, like, this is still a positive and still a good rating, but I'm going to give it a 6.5. I definitely appreciate it and respect it very much. And I do tend to enjoy this genre, and I respect what it's doing. It's not just being like some like crappy jump scared sort of horror movie. And you know what? I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid score.
Yeah.
All right.
No, very much respectful.
What about
Yeah,
you, Misha?
He's
I've
getting
come
his
to
high-
appreciate it a lot more since
Oh.
I started reading stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It takes a lot to
Yeah.
be able to appreciate the movie because not everything is shown up to you, or not everything is shown to you up front as soon as you watch the movie. It's not one of those
Yeah.
horror movies you can understand it right away. There again, I've said this a million times. You can probably guess. There's a lot of symbolism behind it. Like literally, you can't watch the movie and understand right away. You have to look it up and understand it deeper. So yeah.
That brings us to our last person, Misha. What's your rating?
I pretty much enjoy this movie only for the redhead girl. So I'm gonna give this movie at least 25 out of 10.
One thing
No,
you've learned
Solid.
thing is Misha has a fetish with the red-haired
It's
girl.
not a
so-
fetish. I just think they're cute. But no, seriously, this movie had, I'd say, a very tough to understand background, and once you understand it, you really start to understand like the intensity of this movie and how good it is. But taking it at face value, and I'm gonna be like a first time viewer, I would give this movie a 6 out of 10, solely based on the fact that not
Yeah.
everyone's gonna want to go and research. But I enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
and,
I
like,
really love the cameras, camera motions, all that stuff. I love the characters.
I changed my rating to an 8 just because of what Misha just said. I never thought about it that way. Like, not everyone's gonna be like, okay, I love this movie. They go research the shit out
Yeah,
of it.
Uh-huh.
Like,
and like
Yeah.
I think the reason like one of the reasons I didn't go like more up with my rating was because regardless of like if someone would want to or not, you shouldn't have to research beyond a movie to
Yeah.
enjoy or
Yeah.
to understand that movie.
But not
There's-
but that's subjective.
There's such a perfect balance with things like Blade Runner where there's like a very interesting story and so much symbolism, but the symbolism is like just within your grasp,
then
where
you
it's
can
still it's still very deep and complex, but you understand it without having to do a ton of research.
like, there's a cliffhanger left for the people who don't want to research it. Like,
Mhm.
you're basically left with all these people are dead in these literally horrible, horrific ways, like probably the worst you could think of. And then that's what you're left with. You don't have to we didn't even do background research on why the kills were done the way they were, because there's no reason to get that deep. We're doing a base level pod here. But yeah, I think there's again a lot to uncover.
And you know where that
Like,
leads us to, Sai? You know where that cliffhanger
You know what?
leads us
I'm
to?
gonna go back down to a
Oh
6.5.
fucking god, you guys! I swear, can you keep your? You guys are so
Outro
indecisive.
what?
I swear to God, guys, I'm losing.
Well, I
it.
mean,
you
this
guys
is-
are you guys are hurting my head. But you know where
In-
that?
The two voices in my head are having a very strange argument about this
I
movie,
want
right? I don't know what to
bed.
think.
Guys, me and Luke are
Bedtime.
super tired, and you know what that leads? You know what that cliffhanger leads us to? This leads us to our outro. Guys, if you couldn't catch it, we watched Midsommar, and it seemed to be some sort of midsummer madness, as generated by our arguments between everyone. We're kind of like we're not in good sync today. We
It
have
was the
Sai arguing
cringiest
with
joke
Luke and
ever.
everything. But seriously, we enjoyed this movie apart from one of our members, and we're all gonna say goodnight. I'm gonna say it first. Adam's gonna say it second. Sai third. Luke fourth, and Nick last. Good night.
Good night.
good night.
Good night, boys.
Have a good night.
Bye bye.